Welcome to the one and only Team 2.
Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is Monday, June the 1st, 2026. And as always, great to have you along. And yes, before we get started, you can see I have been playing around a little bit with AI in the last few days. Hence the logos and the thumbnails and all that sort of stuff. So many comments and everything that, today, and I'm sure there'll be some there. In the chat tonight. But yes, it's a little bit of fun, actually. I enjoyed it. I haven't really done much with AI in the past, and as you probably know, but I thought it was about time to get with the time, so I've had a bit of a play. It's not the finished product yet, but just having a bit of a go at a few different things at the moment, so we'll see how we go. I know it's a bit lame, by the way. I know a lot of people say it's a little bit lazy to do, just to type in stuff, but we're not all graphic designers, and we don't have time to be doing all fandangled thumbnails all the time and logos. So I just did this and we'll see how we go. And I've got the first comment there from Explicit. Yes, my favourite colour is blue there, mate. Everything I do has always got blue in it. Hence my love for the navy blues, Carlton. I won't comment about the game because, heaven forbid, I might upset somebody who's out there who's just here for the boxing. But yes, everything I do, whether it be business or pleasure, whatever, always seems to have blue in it. So anyway, we'll get started. Again, thanks to everyone that's been tuning in. Thanks to all the views and comments and everything on Walking Box in the last sort of week or so. Numbers have been really good as far as views and also comments and all that sort of stuff. So appreciate all that. And thank you also to everyone that listens to Spotify after the fact. Now, it is, by the way, it's raining pretty heavily outside. A lot of wind and that going around. So if I go out, if it just goes blank at some stage, that's the reason why. So let's hope we can hang in there. All right, let's get the show on the road. We're going to start with old mate Big J. Now, actually, just on the AI thing, Big J, I'm going to send you something right now, and you can tell me what you think. I'm going to send you something I did just for you, just because I'm a good bloke. If I can find it here. Where is it? There it is. All right, I've just sent it to you, Big J, and I'll get to it in about an hour when I catch up with all the comments, all right? So there you go. Something, just a little present from me to you, Big J, for your YouTube channel, just because I'm having fun with all this this stuff. All right, let's get into it. Speaking of Big J, so we've got the first comment there from, well, your first comment. You got, what, 3 or 4 in a row there. Easy work for Desley over Spencer. Time for the trilogy with K. MVP should make it the first card in Oz. Your thoughts? Yeah, no, I agree with that, Big J. And if you didn't know, yeah, MVP have been talking about coming to Australia, including the man himself, Jake Paul, has talked about maybe having a fight here in Australia. I was going to say I'm not so sure how big that would be, but when you think about it, it'll probably be massive. But anyway, look, it was easy work, and I said on my video this morning, BJ, I'm not sure whether you did a video on it as well, but I was disappointed in Spencer. As impressed as I was with Desley Robinson, I was equally disappointed with Spencer. What's that there? Yes, I'll have a go at it, BJ. He's just got the message I sent him. Actually, I'm going to show everyone right now, BJ. I'm going to beat you to the punch. I'm going to show everyone what I've just done. Hang on, let's see. There you go. Aussie boxing. You can see it there. Aussie boxing talk with old mate Big J. There you go. So there's a thumbnail that he can use for his YouTube channel. Anyway, all right. Sorry, where was I? Where was the question? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was disappointed in Spencer. I thought for a former, apparently she was a amateur world champion. that's what I sort of read. That I expected more, but I was so impressed with Desi Robinson. Such a really dominant performance. And you got to remember, Desi hasn't, as far as I know, had a lot of experience in boxing. As much, definitely not as much as Mary Spencer, anyway. And I thought she fought a great fight, putting the pressure on. Again, I said this morning, head movement, pressure, being busy, and Spencer was just not really doing anything. Very, very reactive. So yeah, and you're right, Big J. It definitely is a time for the trilogy with Kay. You could probably say that that she's 2-0 against Kay so far. I mean, I thought she won the first fight, but again, it went Kay's way. So let's settle it in the ring and let's get the rematch going. And I'm with you there, mate. It should be definitely the first card in Oz. All right, still with Big J. If No Limit can get both Spence and Jamal Charlo here on the same card, what a coup. That deserves a stadium if true. It's announced on BoxRec, so it must have some truth to it. Yeah, I saw that the other day, Big J, that straight after that interview that Ronnie Shields did. Was that it wasn't with Jay, was it? I think it was the Punch podcast, who does really good things as well. It was straight up on BoxRec after that. So it's a major coup. I commented the other day, I don't think we'll have both sets of brothers on the card, the Zoo brothers and the Charlo brothers. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Jamel did end up on there, but again, they've had some falling outs over the journey, and maybe it might be a little bit hard to get them both together. I'm not sure what the current situation between the two is, but look, without Jamal, even having Jamal on the card adds a lot of weight, doesn't it? And Spence and Zoo and everyone else. So you can put a line through Nikita Zoo being on the card. That just isn't going to happen. And Nikita Zoo is the other cash cow for No Limit. If they put them both on the card, I think I replied to someone the other day. And I said the problem with it, and it was a really well worded out comment or question, whatever it was. And I just said the reason it won't be on there is because having Nikita on the card doesn't really add to No Limits side of things. So yes, as fans, we think it's great to have 4 big fights on the card. It's fantastic for us fans. But as far as No Limit goes, and remember they're the ones that are paying for the fight and the whole event, that having Nikita on the card doesn't bring anything financially. We're all going to pay the $70 or $80, whatever it's going to be, to watch the card, whether Nikita's on there or not. I don't think having Nikita on there is going to get any boxing fans to go, oh, geez, I was a little bit iffy about paying for Zoo Spence or Tim versus Spence, but now that Nikita's on the card, I'm going to buy it. So that's why you'd have to look through No Limit's eyes. I would say, well, even if he had an in-between or tune-up fight or whatever you might want to call it for Nikita, you're probably still looking at sort of $75,000 to $100,000, and that's $100,000 they just don't have to spend. So that's why I don't think it'll happen. So, but as far as Jamal Charlo goes, yep, does make sense, and I would think that PBC would have some sort of arrangement with No Limit as far as the fighters they want on the card. Sometimes in this instance where you've got a co-promotion, you have a lead promoter like No Limit is doing with this one, but then you have the undercard or the B side of the promotion, I suppose, will have an agreement where they might get 2 or 3 fighters on the card as part of the agreement with the lead promoter. So that would make sense in this aspect. But having said that, you would think that PBC would probably want or have to dip into their pockets and come up with some cash to put it on, because this is not really adding a lot for No Limit again, and it's going to be money that they probably don't need to actually spend. So look, either way, it's going to be a fantastic card. I would have just been happy with Tim versus Errol and Jamal Charlo on there against anybody. And there's been a lot of fighters being thrown around. I did actually say the other day that I thought Matteo Tapia might be top of the list, but of course he's with Zuffa, so I doubt that's going to happen. Nikita himself's been thrown around. Who else was it? Jack Bowen, Callum Peters, Michael Zarafa has been thrown around. He's actually, I think, put himself out there as well. And I actually said my vote would go to Benjamin Hussein. I think he would be great to have in there, and he would definitely add a little bit of colour to that fight, wouldn't he? So we'll see. But great coup by No Limit, no matter how it pans out. If they have Jamal on that card, and maybe Jamal, going to be fantastic. So. One more from Big J. Was something about the WBC there, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, the WBC is a joke. promoting Sky to full champion without a fight, and dismissing Jai for Noel, or Noel I'll call him. And since when does a sanctioning body order a unification fight? Jai's got to be regretting it now. Yeah, well, I think a bit of both there, Big J. I think the WBC is a joke, and I think I think you would have to be, at this stage, maybe regretting the move. Now, maybe he's not. And this is, again, I think it was yesterday I did the video on the Jai Opetaia situation, and I got a lot of feedback from that, mostly positive, which was good. Few sort of had a few doubts, I suppose, but if you're sitting back with Jai Opetaia at the moment in his shoes, and he's just been stripped of his IBF belt. Noel Michelanian said, I want to fight him, and that looked like it was going to happen, and the WBC stepped in and said, no, not going to happen. You're going to fight Benavides instead. And don't make any bones about it, or that Noel Michelanian is not going to hand in his WBC belt to fight Jai Opetaia for nothing. It's just not going to happen. So if the WBC say no, we don't want you to fight Jai, you're going to fight the Benavides, of course he's going to do it. If he doesn't, he loses the WBC belt and loses all his leverage. A little bit like what's happening to Jai now. He's lost a lot of leverage by having no belt. All the other, I suppose, top fighters in the division are all saying, well, do I want to fight him? Do I not want to fight him? They don't have to fight him now. He has no belt. So would he be regretting it? I think there'd have to be some regret as far as, did he jump too soon? That's probably the big question. I've got no dramas with the whole Zuffa thing and people or fighters signing up to Zuffa, and Jai was obviously the first sort of real name to do it. But I think in hindsight, he would have said, you know what, maybe I might wait a year or so and just see what happens, and see what happens to other champions that come over. And unfortunately, the sanctioning bodies, the IBF, have made a statement with Jai, and maybe they won't make the same statement going forward. But now they've almost put a rod on their own back, haven't they? That they have to now, the IBF that is, strip anyone that fights for a Zuffa belt as well. So I'm with you there as well, Big J, as far as Sky goes. Surely there was another fighter out there in the WBC division or the rankings at 122 that Sky could fight. I mean, come on. What is that about? To elevate someone that, I know she's got the interim belt, but to elevate somebody that hasn't actually fought for the belt, especially when there's so many other contenders that she could have gone in against, I just don't get it. And again, I said the other day, Zuffa, this is the way boxing is going to go forward from now on. Well, hey, sign me up to Zuffa, because at least they have some sort of structure and some sort of mission statement. And yes, I've been one of the main ones to be pushing back on the Zuffa thing, but if this is the thing we're going to have to continually put up with, then they're not going to do themselves any favours. I would have thought that in this instance, the WBC and the other three organisations would have been saying, well, now more than ever, we have to get our shit together, because if we don't, fighters are going to lose faith in us, fans are going to lose faith in us, promoters and broadcasters are going to lose faith in us. We now need to get our shit together more than any time in our history in boxing. But what do? They promote someone that would have had probably 10 fighters that they could have probably chosen to fight against for that belt. And they go, well, there you go, Sky. You had our 126-pound belt, so we'll just give that to you. And as far as the sanctioning bodies ordering unification fight, exactly when does that happen? I can't recall a sanctioning body ordering their champion to fight another unified champion or another champion with another belt. And of course, it's happened probably hundreds of times in the last sort of 50 years, whatever it's been, that fighters have fought each other for unified belts. But it's always probably been the fighters and promoters approaching the sanctioning bodies requesting to be able to fight each other for unified belts. But I've never heard of in this case, the WBC saying to their champion, we don't want you to fight a challenger or a ranked challenger. We want you to fight another champion. It just never happens. It just never does. And yes, they approve unified fights, but they never push for unified fights. It just doesn't make any sense to me, Big J, and I think they are a joke. And at this stage, the WBC have got a big tick beside them. The IBF have got a tick beside them. I wonder what the WBA and WBO will do to get them on the hit list as well of just stupid own goals to kick. Yeah, I'm with you there, mate. It's not a great situation at the moment. All right, I'm going to just go to the comments just in order here, guys. So forgive me, they're a little bit all over the place. Explicit, is Zuffa or Dana the first major American promoter to try to dominate the UK boxing scene? Ooh, yeah. Well, apart from obviously Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn, I would think Explicit, of course. Oh, sorry, American promoter. Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe. Yep. And they're pretty smart doing it when you think about it, because it's such a major part of the boxing scene, the UK boxing scene, and it's absolutely riding high over there at the moment. So yeah, it's probably a really good call. Obviously, having Conor Benn at the top of the list at the moment of their stable probably adds to that. They want to obviously get behind him over there, which is why they're pushing for the UK. I think, geez, I would think Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren would be absolutely furious about this, because they've owned the UK for so long. So, yeah, it's a good move. It's a good move. And, of course, they're coming to Australia as well, apparently. So we'll see what happens there as well. But, look, it's definitely game on, isn't it? It's definitely happening, and the battle lines are being drawn. Everyone's sort of putting their pieces in place on the chessboard, and who's going to get the checkmate? Well, we'll see in another probably about 5 or 6 years, I reckon, when it all come to fruition. All right, Drew, hey there, mate. What do you got there? Again, I apologise if these aren't in order, but they'll work themselves out eventually. I'm not prepared to hear that Zuffa is anything other than one big, hot, disorganised mess. Jai is quickly becoming the poster child for a cautionary tale. A long-term Zuffa contract should be avoided. Well, there's a flip side there, Drew. Very well said there. Yeah, well, I've just sung the praises of Zuffa, but you're right. They have 100% dropped the ball when it comes to Jai Pataya. So, yeah, maybe they've made some mistakes as well. But the big thing out of this whole scenario with Jai is, as far as I know, I haven't really heard or seen or read or whatever it is, a full-on statement from Dana White and Zuffa Boxing explaining the stance on Jai Pataya. I know they mentioned legal action, and I know they mentioned they're willing to work with anyone, and it was just sort of a lukewarm response to the whole thing, I thought. I would have liked a full-on interview with Dana White to explain exactly what has happened here. And if he's done it, well, correct me, but I haven't seen anything about it. It's just been laying low. I know Mick Francis has done a couple of interviews about the Zuffa thing, and but again, this is what my video was about yesterday. I still haven't seen a text message or an email or a letter or whatever it might be to say that the IBF had given their approval to have the Zuffa belt, or they have the IBF belt up along the Zuffa belt on the promotion. So yeah, so they've 100% dropped the ball as well, Drew, and they've got a little bit to learn as well. And I think Dana White, maybe the fact that he's laying low a little bit at the moment with the whole thing on not commenting is that he just wants to see it play out, because maybe this is something he hadn't encountered, the pushback from the sanctioning bodies, and maybe he's just sort of just trying to do his own thing at the moment, not comment too much on what everyone else is doing, because I think it's behind closed doors. I wouldn't be surprised if he's sitting there going, oh, geez, I didn't count on that, especially we've talked about on here before with the promoters and DAZN almost aligning together to push back towards towards Zuffa. I don't think they were encountered or counted on that level of pushback. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing him say something though, Drew, Dana White, about the whole thing, because he's got a lot to answer for, if you ask me. Explicit, did you see Tio got ghosted by Dana at an influence event? No Tio to Zuffa anytime soon. I didn't see it, Explicit, but I did have someone else ask me the same question, but no, I didn't see it. What does ghosted mean? Is that ignored? Is that what it says? And Tio was one of the ones that was really touted as being part of the new age, wasn't he, of Zuffa fighters? So we'll see. But no, I briefly saw something about it, Explicit, but no, I didn't. I'm not across it. And let me know what ghosted means. I'm assuming it means ignored. What's that? Shalom. This is Ben Shalom said some of their fighters are on Zuffa 7 with Sam Hickey and plans to sue. Okay, yeah, I don't know much about Ben Shalom and boxer side of things, Explicit. I haven't even seen who's actually on Zuffa 7. Let me have a quick look. Zuffa 7. All right, let's have a quick look. Oh, sorry, yeah, Chris Billon Smith and Ryan Rozicki. Yep, I knew about that one. Who else is on there? Jack Massey and hang on, Shavron Clark, Steve McKenna, someone Streeter, Lee Cutter, Aaron Sutton, Sam Hickey, Todd Tompkins, and I don't really know any of the other guys there. So I suppose it's okay. But again, I don't think it's any different to a pro box show. I suppose Bill and Smith and Raziki is an okay fight. The undercard, just average. So I don't know. Everyone's keeping going on, especially Dana, about how great Zuffa is and what they're doing. Again, I'll watch it, but it's not like I'm counting the days down. When is the actual card? When does it say? 6th of June. So is that this week? 6th of the 6th. So isn't that like Saturday? I thought they were... Where are we? The 6th. Saturday. I thought they were doing Sunday shows over there, which goes into Australia on a Monday. Okay. There you go. Where is it? Oh, this is the England one. Sorry. Yeah, what am I thinking? Yeah, it's in England. Okay. All right. Sorry. I'll give myself a slap and move on. Yeah, I don't know anything about that explicit. I'll continue on because I don't really know too much about that. I've seen something about Michelinian and Turkey. I forgot, but it was something about Turkey offering a deal to, is that Mick? And something to do with the WBC. Could he join? Oh, Michelinian. Okay. And something to do with the WBC. Could he join Zuffa? Well, maybe. Maybe. I mean, anything's possible at this stage. I'm not sure. Now, is he looked after by again or promoted by? Is he with PBC as well? I can't even remember. But yeah, maybe he could be on the board to approach her explicitly. I don't know. But in the meantime, while he's got that WBC belt, he's going to have to do what the WBC tell him to do. And if they've told him to fight Benavides or be stripped, well, that's what he's going to have to do. Ryan, good stuff there, mate. Yeah, go the mighty Blues, the Baggers. What a win it was, though, Ryan, eh? Oh, when Cripper put on the cape and flew high. Now, I've got to be careful. I don't want to talk more than 10 seconds about the footy. The Melbourne Storm got a win as well, so I'm going to both codes there. But, yeah, when Cripper put on the Superman cape, or the Captain Carlton cape, and up he went, took a mark over Jeremy Cameron. I thought the roof was going to lift off the MCG. Not that it's got a roof, but you get what I'm saying. The stands would have been shaken there, mate. I was there the night they beat Melbourne in that final, and I thought the stands were going to fall down. It was that loud. So anyway, I'll move on quickly. I don't want to upset anyone out there that's just here for the boxing, but yeah, go you Baggers. All right, Drew. Benavides is definitely not scared of Jai, but I do think he's completely bought into the us versus them politics of the sport. It would serve him so much better to have a big fight versus Jai, win or lose. Yeah, well, you got to remember, though, Drew, that Benavides is still sort of, well, he's under the management of Samson Lukovic and PBC and whoever else takes care of his dad as well. And I agree, he's definitely not scared of Jai. Of course he's not. That's ridiculous to even mention that he'd be scared of Jai. But I just think his surrounding team, I suppose, have looked at Jai and go, well, do we really want to fight him unless we absolutely have to? I got no doubt they'll want to fight Jai at some stage. But I don't blame him for looking at Dimitri Bivol first, if that's going to happen, whether it does or not. I know they're now talking about the third Better B fight, maybe Callum Smith in there as well. I don't know. But I don't blame him for not, or no, firstly, looking at Bivol to fight, but secondly, making him the priority, but secondly, then looking at Michelinian after that or whatever it might be and not having Jai at the top of their list. You've got to remember that Jai hasn't got a belt. So he's huge risk for little reward. All he really gets for fighting Jai is a defense under his belt. So I get it. And maybe they might want Jai to get maybe a little bit more of a profile. Maybe they want the dust to settle a little bit more on the Zuffa thing to see how it's all going to work and whether they're legit and whether Dana's going to play ball. I don't know. But yeah, 100% he's not scared of Jai. But I do think that maybe it's the politics coming into it. Maybe... Look, there's maybe lots of things at play, but end of the day, I suppose it just comes down to David Benavides does not have to fight Jai, so why is he going to do it? At the moment, the money wouldn't be huge unless maybe Turkey Al Sheikh got involved, so I haven't got a problem with Benavides saying, well, I want Bivol, and then if Michelinian or vice versa, then we might look at Jai after that. I'm just hoping that the fan, I suppose, reaction almost shames him into fighting Jai, because I think everyone knows he's not going to be regarded as the best cruiserweight until he beats Jai. It's as simple as that. And I also think that Benavidez is the type of guy that would just grate on him if the fans out there thought that Jai was the number one cruiserweight instead of him, and they think he's ducking Jai. And I've got a feeling even that Benavidez might even be talking to his team saying, I want to fight this guy. Even just the mention that he's the number one cruiserweight out there and would beat me, I want to fight this guy. And his team is saying, Drew, sorry, I'm looking at your name there, Drew. David, mate, just go back in the gym and start training. Let us worry about who you're going to fight next. So that's what the impression I get from David Benavidez. This is about Matteo Tapia. Yeah, I recently talked about Tapia. Yep, hoping to make his Zuffa debut in July. Yep, that was the case there, explicit. All right, David has one fight left on his contract, I think. I know he said the Zuffa belt means nothing to him, but I don't know. I think Zuffa would send him an offer anyways and see. Well, I did hear explicit that David Benavidez, yeah, you're right, he's got that one fight left on the contract. And I think from what I've heard is that David and Samson Lukovic will actually part ways. That's what I've heard. That will be a mutual thing. It'll be David go off and be a peacock, as they say, and fly, even though I know peacocks don't fly, but you know where I'm getting at. Spread your wings and all that sort of stuff. I think it's a mutual agreement that David Benavidez will be allowed to go to do his own thing, and maybe he would sign with Zuffa, although he has said in the past that he wouldn't want to fight for Zuffa belt. I think the chat he had with Ryan Garcia, both said that they wouldn't be really interested in fighting for Zuffa belt. I don't know, but there is also the ring belt, of course. I know it's the ring belt. It's not the real belt. I know in fans' eyes that it is, at least for now. But at least Jai's still got that to maybe put out there as well for David Benavidez. But at least he'll have his options open to him explicit, and maybe he'll go with Zuffa. Maybe he'll just be a free agent and have one fight with Zuffa. Maybe it could be not actually signing a contract with Zuffa. It could be just a one-fight deal, and he fights Jai and then goes off and be his own free agent again. Who knows? But as I said, I did hear that he had one fight to go and he was going to part ways with Samson Lukovic after that on amicable terms. All right, Ryan, I'm back in Jai's decision. A pioneer. To hell with these boxing governing bodies. It has never been about the fighter. They're scared they will get their purse snatched by Zuffa. Exposed. Yeah, I'm with you there, Ryan. Look, I want it to work all round. I want Zuffa to work in some ways. I must admit, and I've been very vocal about this and made no secret of the fact that I'm a traditionalist. I'm from the 80s and 90s and 2000s. I love the traditional way of doing boxing, but also welcome the concept of Zuffa, if they can work in conjunction with the other sanctioning bodies. Now, I know that just creates even more mess, and we don't know. It's hard enough to now know who the champion is out of the four that we've got. Then you got the Ring magazine, and now you're going to have Zuffa in there as well. It's hard to get your head around it, but I sort of welcome at least their involvement or inclusion into boxing. If anything, to clean up the existing sanctioning bodies. But as I said earlier, I would have thought the sanctioning bodies would have been trying their best to get their shit together, but it seems like they're as disorganised as ever, which gives obviously Zuffa an opportunity to come in. But I'm with you at the moment as far as to hell with the governing bodies, because they just continually kick own goals. And you're right, it's never been about the fighter. But look, either way, it'll all work itself out. I think it's a bit of a mad scramble on at the moment about who's going to be with who. And I think once it settles down and everyone gets a really good idea of how Zuffa works and how the model works, and maybe Zuffa will be a little bit more flexible and become a little bit more, I suppose, traditional boxing orientated, like this whole thing about not being able to wear your own trunks and all this sort of stuff. Maybe, and I'm not sure about gloves either. Do they have to wear the Zuffa gloves? I'm not sure. But, in regular boxing, you can choose the gloves you wear and have a little bit of personality. Maybe they'll thaw a little bit on that as well. Maybe there'll be a little bit of, we'll work with the sanctioning bodies under certain circumstances. The governing bodies are the same way with Zuffa, and everyone just sort of gets along. But having said that, if that is the case, well, then I suppose no model works, does it? Because Zuffa's model doesn't work because they're allowing all the regular stuff to continually happen out there in boxing land, and the sanctioning bodies, I suppose what they're doing doesn't work because they've got half the fighters in boxing over doing the Zuffa thing. So, but one way or another, Ryan, it will work itself out. I think this is going to be a classic situation of only the strong will survive. And that's the sanctioning bodies, that's the promoters, that's the broadcasters. It might take 5 to 10 years, maybe longer, but it'll work itself out eventually. And as I said, I think it will definitely be a case of only the strong will survive and come out of this. It's almost like, meteor is about to hit Earth and everyone's sort of going underground. It's going to be who comes out with, with a head up and who's going to survive and prosper and go forward. That's sort of the way. It's like a boxing meteor at the moment, isn't it? So it'll work itself out. We'll see. Sorry, Explicit, I just went through that card. Yeah, I'm not excited by it at all, if I'm being honest, mate. This is Smith and Riziki. Really couldn't care less, if I'm being honest. I'll watch it, but whatever. What's that there, Explicit? You seen the trend of the AI dog saying, don't grab me, if you grab me, I'm a bite chew. No, I haven't seen that, mate. I haven't seen it. Drew, I had a frustrating back and forth with someone who said there is no evidence that Zuffa has been bad for Jai's career. Okay. He lost his IBF belt, got Benavides blacklisted, and now is losing the Noel Michelanian fight. Well, I don't know. What evidence have they got, Drew, that it's been a good thing for Jai's career, apart from maybe a good payday in his last fight? Is that the be-all and end-all, especially when I've got people saying to me, it's not about the money. Jai's all about legacy and unifying the belts. He doesn't care about the money, which I think is a ridiculous statement. To think a professional fighter who's just gives his absolute everything and life to boxing to not care about the money, I think is a ridiculous statement. But anyway, so what is that there? Someone said there is no evidence that Zuffa has been bad for Jai's career. Ooh, okay. Well, like you said there, he's just lost his belt. He's been stripped of his IBF belt, so now he has no leverage whatsoever in any negotiation. And he would have had the Noel Michelanian fight, and it would have been a unified fight by the sounds of things. If he had had that IBF belt, he would have been fighting for 2 belts. Then you've got Benavides who's got the other 2 belts, and no doubt the unification fight would have happened after that. So really in 2 to 3 fights' time, he would have been fighting David Benavides for the undisputed championship. And now he's sitting there twiddling his thumbs, and the sanctioning bodies look like they're blacklisted him. The opponents that he's after don't want anything to do with him. Exactly how is there no evidence that Zuffa has been bad for Jai's career? That is just one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard, Drew. And I don't think the person you're going back and forth with surely has got any argument. I'd like to hear the other side of the coin, his argument or her argument, whoever it was, you're going back and forth. What are they saying that Zuffa's done for his career? Now, who knows? In 5 years' time, Jai might be retired and might be sitting on $100 million and be undisputed cruiserweight champion and maybe fought for the heavyweight title. I don't know. But at the moment, it's just radio silence from Zuffa and Dana about what's actually going on with Jai's career. And he's sitting there twiddling his thumbs with nothing really planned. Well, who's he going to fight? David Benavides, Noel Michelanian, Chris Smith, Ryan Riziki are all busy. They've all got fights booked. Well, it looks like Benavides will fight Michelanian, so you put that one out. Then you've got Smith and Riziki booked. Who else is there? Let's have a quick look, I suppose, with the rankings. Where are we? All right, at cruiserweight. Well, Vidal Riley, yeehaw, let's go. That's about it. That's it. That's it, guys. Maybe Zerto Ramirez wants to fight Jai. Maybe he'll go to, or if he's out of contract, maybe he'll go to Zuffa and he can fight Jai Pataya. That's really the biggest fight he's got out there at the moment. So please ask this other person from me, and I'm sure all the other viewers out there, exactly what has Zuffa done to benefit Jai's career. I'd love to know. I would love to know, except maybe a half-decent payday in his last fight. And that is it. What do we got there? Richardson Hitchens has leaked his options of opponents and said Staniosis' name. Okay, that would probably mean he signed. Also, Hitchens confirmed the Salas fight if anyone cared. Yeah, okay. So Staniosis is with Zuffa as well, as he explicit. I've sort of lost track of all that, who's with them and who's not. Yeah, I suppose it's an okay fight. I don't know. Again, I'm not excited by it. until Hitchens signs to fight Conor Benn or Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia all sign up to Zuffa and they all decide to fight each other, I'm not getting excited. I mean, what do we think about it? Here's a question. What are we getting excited about with Zuffa at the moment? Again, I'm not trying to rain on Zuffa's parade. Excuse my little ape impersonation there. But what exactly are we looking forward to with Zuffa at the moment, apart from pro box style events coming up? And I know they've only been going 6 or 7 months. I get it. But what exactly are we looking forward to with Zuffa at the moment? Yeah, they've got some fighters that are coming on board, but they're not fighting each other yet anyway. And Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney are really only talking about going over at the moment. So, yeah, Richardson Hitchens, Edgar Berlanga, Conor Benn, yeehaw, doesn't excite me whatsoever. And again, even when it comes to Ryan Garcia with Conor Benn, well, how's that going to work? Oscar De La Hoya laughed at it the other day, or last week, whatever it was. He laughed at the prospect that they were going to fight. He's like, how are you going to make that happen, Conor? Ryan Garcia is my fighter. The only way, of course, it does happen is if Turkey Al-Sheikh gets involved and puts it on a ring show and pumps a shitload of money into it. But Oscar's not going to let that happen. And now you've also got Eddie Hearn saying that he will legally block any involvement of Dana White in the Tyson Fury-Anthony Joshua fight as well. And he's got apparently a written contract from both guys signing it, saying that he will have control of the fight, probably in conjunction with Frank Warren and maybe Turkey, but Dana White will have nothing to do with the promotion. So, as I said, like maybe 5, 10, 15 years' time, who knows? But at the moment, what are we exactly getting excited about? I'd like to know, because we've had this will be the 7th show coming up. And apart from Jais, I haven't given a shit about one card. A passing interest in the Shane Mosley Jr. fight, but that was only because when we were over there last year, we got to meet him and struck up a real good conversation with him, and he was a really nice guy. Cooper O'Connell, of course, is fighting in his gym, so there was a little bit of interest there. But if I didn't had nothing to do with Shane Mosley Jr., I wouldn't have given a shit about that fight either. So at what point, this is the other question I would like to ask, at what point are they branching out from Dana's garage and going into some sort of stadium to actually get serious about this whole thing? How can we be, as fans, be excited and I suppose energetic about what Zuffa are doing when they're just fighting in front of a few hundred people in front of, in the garage or the training center at the UFC training center? At what point are they going to branch out and try and be a big player? Because at the moment, I've said a few times, they're no different to Pro Box TV. So why exactly would Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya and Frank Warren be shaking in the boots? I can't see how at this stage. Now, maybe in 6 months' time or a year's time, they're booking out the T-Mobile Arena and Conor Benn might be fighting Devin Haney, and okay, them game on. But at the moment, all they're talking about is they're just signing fringe fighters, and I'll put Hitchens in that category as well. I know he's a world champion. I know he's a very, very good fighter, but let's face it, he's a no-name as far as boxing goes. Conor Benn is only a name in England. American fans, well, Australian fans a little bit different because we tend to follow the English a little bit. But American fans don't give a shit about Conor Benn. Could not care less about him. Richardson Hitchens is an unexciting no-name, really, to even American fans. Yeah, they, of course, know who he is. But no one's getting excited about Richardson Hitchens going to Zuffa. No one gives a shit about Edgar Berlanga going to Zuffa. If they sign Ryan Garcia and a Virgil Ortiz, hey, now we're talking. But until they do that and they start fighting each other, again, I'll say it, exactly what are we getting excited about? Except Dana White standing up there or sitting up there at the press conference, puffing the chest out, bad-mouthing everyone else in boxing that's been in the sport for generations or decades, whatever it might be, and done lots of massive fights and has a long history in this sport. All you got is Dana White up there rubbishing those people that don't. I know they've got their faults, mind you, don't get me wrong. But he has no right to be rubbishing some of those guys that he's rubbishing. I know he probably does it just for a reaction. I get that. But who's Dana White? I know he's a UFC guy. He's done great things. But what right has he got up there to rubbish an Oscar De La Hoya or a Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn or anyone like that? Bob Arum especially. So anyway, so you can probably tell that I'm still slightly, well, I am on the side of the traditional way, but it's up to Zuffa and Dana to swing people probably from my generation the 70s, 80s, and 90s, all the people that were born in those eras, over to the new Zuffa model. Because at the moment, again, I'll say it, I could not really give a shit about Zuffa at this stage. Could not give one shit whatsoever. So anyway, all right, after that, I need a drink. My little soapbox episode. All right, Drew, I can't help but think that the WBC sweeping in to attempt Benavides versus Michelanian after Jai was in deep talks with Noel was a clear message to Jai and Zuffa. It's us versus you. Well, I'm not against that either, Drew. I think that's what they should be doing. I think that is 100% what they would or should be doing. And if I was Mauricio Suleiman, if I was in charge of the other organisation as well, I'd be saying exactly that. I'd be making statements. Any of our guys that want to fight anyone, any way connected to Zuffa or signed up with Zuffa, don't want anything to do with you, and we'll do everything we can to block you and make our champions fight somebody else. Now, I feel for Jai, of course, 100% I do. But at the end of the day, it's probably about time that the sanctioning bodies played tough and tried to protect the turf, because so far I haven't seen shit from the sanctioning bodies. Mauricio Suleiman a few weeks ago had a little bit to say about Zuffa when he was in Egypt for the Verhoeven and Usyk fight. But apart from that, we heard anything from the WBA, the IBF, or WBA, WBO, or IBF. We haven't really heard anything. So I'd like him to grow some balls and come out and say, all right, you want a war? Let's go. And maybe making the fighters out there crystal clear, all the champions in their divisions, the mandatory challenges, whoever it might be, make their intentions clear that you want to mess with Zuffa and look over the fence. Well, there'll be consequences. So you better hope that Zuffa measures up and gives you those big fights and the big paydays. Not that the sanctioning bodies really care about paydays. I suppose they do because they get the sanctioning fees. But I think there should be more of it. I think there should be clear battle lines drawn. I mean, Dana White has done it from day one. He has said right from the word go, we will not work with sanctioning bodies. We will be doing our own thing. And we've got Eddie and Oscar and Frank and Bob and PBC, Al, whatever it is, all in the gun, and we are coming for you. They've made no secret about it. So I actually think the one thing I will probably agree with Dana with, it's been a pretty piss poor response by boxing. But now that the big four, I suppose, Golden Boy, Matchroom, Top Rank, and Queensberry have all signed with DAZN, who now are protecting their interests as well. Now you can sort of see them starting to gather the troops and getting themselves organised for the war that's about to come. So I'm all for it. And I think there should be more of it, Drew, that they should be really making an effort to cut Zuffa off at the knees. Because they are a threat. They are a threat, make no mistake about it. But Dana and even Turkey haven't really got a lot of legs to stand on if the boxing world gets its shit together and organises itself and puts roadblocks everywhere so they just can't manoeuvre it and it just falls over. Got to remember, the whole thing falls over if the fighters don't want to fight for Zuffa. It only works if everyone goes over there. And if the money's not there and the big fights aren't there, and they've all seen what's happened to Jai, and to get this thing rolling, they need those big names to go over there. But if the big names looking over saying, geez, that guy got stripped, I don't want to go over there and have my career sort of stalled by getting my belt stripped and the sanctioning body's not agreeing to let me fight for belts, well, they're going to hesitate to go over. So I think it's a good call by the WBC and whoever else, the other sanctioning bodies are out there looking to do the same thing. Because money will only get you so far. I know Turkey's got endless pockets, and I get he could just sign everybody, but you still got to have the system in place, I think. So anyway, it'll all play out as the next sort of 10 to 20 years comes about, won't it? But just after the Ford fight, I started hearing the story of Foster giving trouble to Shakur in sparring. Were you there, Lynden? No, I wasn't there explicit. No. They sparred, did they? I don't know. I said this morning, I just so cringe when they get in there together, isn't it? And they just start barking at each other like little rabid dogs. Just come on, guys. You don't realise how silly you look. But no, I haven't heard anything about the sparring there, mate. All right, Big J. I see that Shanika versus Thorson is finally happening. Thorson should take care of Shanika easily. I don't think Shanika has the skill set to beat Dino. Yeah, well, look, first of all, Big J, credit to Shanika Johnson for taking the fight. Dina Thorson is a very, very, very good fighter. And I'm with you. I think she'll outbox Shanika, I think, pretty comfortably. But hey, again, good on Shanika for putting all her belts up for grabs. Tina Thorson, of course, has been out for a little while because of what happened with her pregnancy. So, yeah, I think it's a great fight. I really do. I think Thorson wins the fight, but Shanika Johnson will still have plenty of opportunities after that. And who knows, she might just pull the upset. She's been just reborn, hasn't she, since she lost to Ellie Scottney. She's come back with force and become a lot better fighter. I like the way she's changed her style. She's gone from trying to outbox the girls to really digging in and going after the girls, and it sort of changed the whole dynamic of her boxing style. She's going to need to do that against Thorson because Thorson can fight. So I don't think she'll beat Thorson, but again, good on her for taking the challenge and putting her belts up. It's the right thing to do, and she's done that. And there'll be plenty of opportunities for her after that, I reckon, Big J. But yeah, tough one for Shanika Johnson. Yeah, I did see that explicit. Akhmadalev, aka MJ. Yep, we'll call him MJ. Maybe joining Zuffa. Negotiations happening now. He's with Matchroom, isn't he? MJ. But again, mate, it's an okay signing, but is it an earth moving type of signing? No, it's just another contender. It's not a big name. I don't know. It's a good signing, I suppose, but exactly who's he going to fight and what's he going to do? I don't know. But it's good on him. Good on Zuffa for approaching him, but I just don't think it shifts the needle at all as far as shifting it the other way to Zuffa. I know they've got to build the stable. I get it. But I was saying, okay, good on him. Good on Zuffa for signing, but it certainly doesn't make me go, oh, wow, now we're in business. So, all right, Big J's, hang on a sec. All right, where would Andrew Maloney be on the pound-for-pound ranking list in Australia if he gets the job done this weekend? So does he automatically go to number one, or is Jai still better? Your thoughts? He doesn't go to number one, mate, because even though Jai hasn't got a belt, he's still number one. Make no mistake about that. I would probably still have Liam Paro at number two. I think he'd probably go to number three, mate. Yep. Yeah, and if Tim Tszyu beats Errol Spence, well, I think he would go. I think I'd still have Jai Patara at number one, but Tim would probably go to number two. But then you got Liam Paro. If he beats Crocker, where does he sit? I would think that no matter what happens, as long as Jai keeps winning, I would have him at number one. Number two, I think if Paro beats Crocker and Tim beats Spence and Andrew beats Garcia, I would have it Jai, Tim, Liam, and Andrew. That would be the top four for me. What's the other? Oh, yeah, the other part. There's a go. No, it doesn't automatically go to number one. No. All right, Ryan. 32 KOs for Serrano is pretty impressive for any boxer, male or female. Yeah, 100%, Ryan, and especially for a woman. And to think that Christy Martin did it a long time ago, but you would have to say that, so not to put any shade on Christy Martin at all, but you would think that Amanda Serrano's opposition would be 10 times better than what Christy Martin had back in the day. You got to remember, and I do remember this actually back in the days of Don King, when he would put his heavyweight fight cards on, he would put Christy Martin on the undercard, which was just a complete, like, what the hell type of situation. I mean, I remember watching it. There's a woman fighting on a boxing card. Since when are women allowed to box? And this is 30 years ago, 35 years ago maybe, that she was out there doing her thing. And it was just so weird to see two women in the ring punching on. And she was great. She was probably the pound for pound at that time. But these days, especially at 120, 122 right up to sort of 135, the opposition that Serrano's fought has been elite. So I think her 32 KOs, I would think, would be probably a little bit more towards her than Christy Martin. But again, either way, just a fantastic feat by both girls. And definitely, well, Christy Martin's already in the Hall of Fame, and you can be guaranteed that Amanda Serrano will go in pretty quick as well. All right, Drew. I have a really bad feeling that Opatai's 3-year contract with Zuffa is completely ironclad, so he's basically stuck there for 3 years. The radio silence from Mick Francis is a bad sign. Yeah, I must admit, Drew, I have been a little bit disappointed by the whole response from Jai's team, including Mick. Now, I get along really well with Mick, but there's just so many question marks on this whole saga. There really is. And poor old Jai Patai is the one that's sort of copying the brunt of it all, I suppose. Now, if it is a 3-year contract, well, yeah, I mean, that it is what it is. And I would have thought that Dana White would not be the type of promoter that would go, yeah, it's all right, Jai, we'll release you from the contract. There's not all happening here. We'll release you. No. He'd be thinking, oh, I don't give a shit who you are and what you want. You are the best, or one of the spokes, I think, in the Zuffa wheel. You ain't going anywhere. You know, you're part of us now, whether you like it or not. I think that would be his attitude. But 3 years is a long time, isn't it, Drew? I mean, you're looking at, maybe 7 or 8 fights in that time. And who's he going to fight? I'll say it again. You know, he's got Callum Smith and Ryan Riziki. That's about it at this stage. If the sanctioning bodies and everyone sort of holds their line, he's really got no one to fight. And who's he going to? I'd like to know who he's going to defend his Zuffa belt against. I'm assuming it's going to be the winner of Billum Smith and Riziki. So I don't know. Look, who knows? Maybe there's talks going on behind closed doors and we'll all come to fruition and everyone will be high-fiving and we'll be all wondering what all the fuss was about. But you've just got the feeling, as I said earlier, that everyone's drawn these battle lines in the sand. And for now, if you're on one side, you're with Zuffa, and you're with the other side, then you're sort of a free agent to do what you want with the sanctioning bodies. So, yeah, again, mate, I just wish he maybe... Look, I get that he signed straight away because Zuffa being this new shiny toy and Dana White would have promised him the world, and obviously he's probably delivered on the paydays, I'm assuming. But apart from that, I just wish he had waited a little while to see how it was all going to play out. At least to get clarification from the IBF about what exactly happens if I sign with Zuffa. I've got no doubt that, look, as much as Mick and everyone says that the IBF were on board and they weren't, then they were again, whatever it might be, I've just got a really bad gut feeling that the due diligence wasn't done as properly as it might have been done. That's the feeling I get. Now, I hope I'm wrong. Maybe there's reasons that they've got, but my gut feeling is that, the due diligence wasn't done properly in the first place, and here we are, Jai stuck in a contract with nowhere to go, and no options at this stage. So, again, I'm hoping next week or the week after or something, Mick might come out and go, all right, we've just signed to fight Michelanian or Ramirez or someone, I don't know. But anyway, Jai's there now, and they're going to have to deal with it. What do we got there? Shadow Boxer. Is Dana going to bat for Jai lately? With his influence and star power, he should be out there calling everyone out for ducking and manipulation. That said, wish he'd stayed over there with UFC. Yeah. It's a really good point, Shadow Boxer, and you're right. Dana White should be out there flying the flag for his fighter. He does it in the UFC, although with the WBC, the UFC. I think I said the UFC. With the UFC, he is the president, the main man, head honcho, El Presidente, whatever you might want to say. He is the man. He is the man. He doesn't answer to anybody. He's got his own belt. He does what he wants. He dictates everything that goes on. And obviously he's now trying to do that with boxing. But one thing he should be doing 100%, mate, is coming out and saying, what is it with this boxing organization or this boxing industry? I've got this guy here. Okay, you sign with us. Where's the balls on all you fighters out there to not want to fight my guy? Okay, we here and now say we will put the challenge out to Benavides and Billum Smith and whoever, Usyk, whoever it might be. Let's go. Forget this whole, we're prepared now to forego our exclusivity that we're after with Zuffa to get this guy to undisputed. So all the other champions out there, all the other elite fighters, we are ready. We are ready to go. We are ready to negotiate with any sanctioning body or promoter, whatever it is, to get this guy the opportunities because he's the number one cruiserweight in the world. So let's go. Again, I don't think we've heard anything from Dana White in relation to this, except for, I think there was something when it first we're going to get legal and do this and do that. And what's it been, a month, 6 weeks, whatever it's been, and nothing yet. Zero. So he's a bit of a toothless terror at the moment, Dana. I want to see what he's got and whether he can come out and support his fighter. And I mean, when you think about it, Jai's been hung out to dry. And you've also got to remember, there's not really a lot that Mick Francis can do. I get that maybe, again, he hasn't done his due diligence properly, whatever. We can all cast aspersions on him or query that or whatever. But at the end of the day, Dana White is the one that can shake the tree. And it probably doesn't matter what Mick's out there saying and his interviews and everything else. It comes down to what Dana White is saying and what he's doing. And so far, he's done shit. So for this big, bad, mighty UFC guy who's going to take over, I want to see what he's got. Where's your balls, Dana? Come out and support your fighter. Poor old Jai's been hung out to dry, and I've seen shit from you so far. So how about puffing the chest out and coming out and standing by your fighter and making a statement and trying everything you can to get him back on track? That's what I'd be doing anyway. All right, sweet as. Who do you think the YouTube fanboy journalists are? Why do you think the YouTube fanboy journalists are so hesitant to ask tough questions? Are they terrified of being thrown off the No Limit payroll or losing access to the interviews? I doubt many of them are actually on the No Limit payroll. I think I've got no doubt Code Sports has some sort of arrangement with No Limit, because you only see pretty much their fighters getting any print media out there, the Herald Sun, and I can't speak for the Brisbane or Sydney newspapers, but in Melbourne it's the Herald Sun, and it's always just No Limit stuff, and that's cool, whatever. It's owned by probably the same company that has Foxtel and everything else, main event. I think those fanboys you're talking about, a couple of different things, or a couple of different reasons there, sweet as. I think you've got to differentiate who those journalists are. Now, I've got guys like Noonan Boy and Jay McAllister on a separate side of the fence. Now, I know, yes, they both do a lot with No Limit and everything else, and No Limit give them access and that sort of stuff, but they're not fanboys. They ask legitimate questions. Maybe both of them maybe haven't asked questions that I think we would all like to have asked. And again, I went over this yesterday. But on the other side, I think they're good journalists who do their thing. But then you've got, on the flip side, you've got just fans out there who just decide that they haven't really got an in with No Limit or anyone else. They just decide they're going to grab a microphone and go to the events. They're probably the fanboys, because they're the ones that are so excited and gracious to get an interview in the first place that they'll just go along and ask all the warm and fuzzy questions. And I've seen them myself. Last year when I went up to the Jai Pataya and David Nyika fight, I was up there. And there was like 7, 8, 9 of them in a line, all waiting to get up and ask their questions. And that's fine. If Jai and David and Mick Francis or whoever wants to answer the questions, then that's great. We need them, and I like a lot of their content. But the reason they don't ask the tough questions, one is because they don't probably even think to ask those questions, but two, they're too busy just being all starry-eyed about the person they're interviewing. So that's why I don't think they ask the tough questions. When it comes to like Noonan Boy and Jay, look, they are very good at what they do, and I think they do a really good job. But I think on occasions they probably haven't asked those really hard questions that we'd like to be asked, and maybe it's just been something they haven't thought about or whatever, and that's fine. But I wouldn't classify those as fanboys at all, mate. I think they do a really, really good job. They know boxing, and there's a clear distinction between one side of the fence and the other side of the fence. So I think you have got the fanboys on one side who are just happy to be there and get a microphone and get some sort of sound bite to put on their YouTube channel or Instagram, whatever it might be. But then you've got the serious guys like Jay and I think before the fight they do a really good job as well, though he's more, I think Rob's more about probably a little bit like I'm doing on here, just getting fighters on and interviewing them and having the boys on for a chat and that sort of stuff. But I would classify him as a more serious type of guy as well when he wants to be, and definitely Noonan Boy as well. I think he's probably leading the pack at the moment. So there is a difference, but that's probably why I think you don't see the hard questions get answered, mate. And terrified of being thrown out. Well, look, sometimes you do have to be careful of what you ask. I'll get that. I mean, if you put a microphone in Mick Francis' his face and say, all right, I want to know this. Well, the odds are, or George Rose or whoever, and I'm sure we've got some great questions for George Rose as well, not just Mick Francis, where they go, oh, geez, all right, and they get a little bit sort of bent out of shape, and maybe they don't be as receptive to you asking for an interview later. Maybe it's just, I haven't got time, mate, I'm getting an interview with someone else. There's lots of different reasons, but I think we all know why the main reason is they don't want to be shut out. I mean, this is what they do. So losing access to the interviews will probably be the main thing there, sweet as. But again, I don't put guys like Rob Schiff and Jay McAllister and Noonan Boy or Nick Noonan into that fanboy category at all, mate. I think they will do a fantastic job. They just need to probably maybe get a little bit hard hitting. I don't think someone like either of those guys are, by the way. I'm not sure whether Jai's in the chat tonight. Sometimes he is. But, hey, we all seen his little run-in with Michael Zarafa. He's not scared to ask the hard questions. He got blacklisted by Michael Zarafa, didn't he? And Noonan boys, I mean, I know Jai Patel, I spit it out. Jai Patel has told him where to go numerous times, but he keeps backing up and he keeps putting the microphone in his face and demanding an answer to his questions. But I think, yes, they do have to ask a few more hard-hitting questions, but I just think you need to, divide the two types of journalists that are out there. What's that, mate? Do you have a nickname? If so, mine saying, well, my nickname was Bubba, mate, back in the day. Lynden Bubba Hosking. When I was younger, I was only a little fella, and I remember I was given the nickname of Bubba Louie. You remember that? You probably don't remember it. There was a cartoon back in the day called Quick Draw McGraw and Bubba Louie. It's a little Western type of thing, and little Bubba Louie was a little fella, and that's how I got my nickname, because I was very small for my age. So I was nicknamed Bubba Louie, and stuck with me right up until I finished boxing, mate. And sometimes I'll catch up with someone from school, high school or whatever, and they'll still call me Bubba, if you can believe that, at 52 years of age. It's like, it's all right, mate. You don't have to call me Bubba anymore. Lyndon's fine. But, yeah, that was my nickname back in the day, mate. I think when I first started fighting, I might have adopted TNT for a while, and Heat Seeker was another nickname I had for a while, but everyone always called me Bubba, and it always went to Bubba. Hang on, where are we here? Hang on, here, watch this here. See that? Oh, hang on, can you see that? There's my first ever pair of trunks, and you can see Bubba is written on the trunks. And can you believe I had red and black shorts or trunks? I hate Essendon with a passion, and my first ever pair of trunks were black and red, or red and black. So I'll hang them up one day, by the way. They've been meaning to hang them up for a while. It's been sitting on the floor for about a year. But anyway, so that was my nickname, mate. Eminem, someone's been playing around with AI. Yes, mate, I have. I've been having lots of fun with AI. I'll continue to have a bit of fun with it too, mate. But, yeah, I've used ChatGPT a few times on help with writing commercials and other bits and pieces I've done with my business. But I've never had a go with this sort of stuff. You see the logo down there as well, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's pretty cool. And I know, as I said at the start, a lot of people think it's a bit lame and a bit lazy, but if it can do the job, then why not? As I said at the start as well, we're not all graphic designers and everything, so I think it's fantastic. Yeah, Damien, you do have to feel for Jai, what he's going through at the moment, that's for sure, mate. Sorry, I'm probably way behind here too, guys. I'll catch up. Oh, good. Thanks, Richard. You like the new thumbnail? Do you like the one with little Neil in the on the walking boxing thumbnail? I had a bit of I'm not sure I'll keep that one, by the way, but I thought I'd put it up and have a bit of a play around. I did have another one where I'm actually walking in, but the problem was when they had my whole body, I don't know, it was the picture or something, and I looked like a big meathead or something, but they had me like I was the size of the Incredible Hulk. I was all massed up and everything. I had these big calves and arms, which is pretty cool, but it's obviously not me. So that's why I just went with the sort of waist upwards. But yeah, it's amazing how it interprets the photos you put in there. That's for sure. What do you got there? Do we know how much Jai got guaranteed to sign with Zuffa? It better be worth it with all the shit show going on. Yeah, I'm not so sure, Richard, what the exact terms were and the purses and signing on bonus. I don't know, but all I heard was it was substantial and a hell of a lot better than what he was getting in the past. So you can guess, I suppose, but yeah, I'm not sure, mate. I don't know. And I wouldn't ask anyway, but yeah, it's, I hope it was worth it. I do. All right, Damien, MVP women's boxing is a joke. Compare the view to the fights to the weigh-ins, and that's all you need to know. Yeah, that's probably one thing I don't like with Desley there, Damien. I know I'm a bit of an old stick in the mud, but I just think so much of someone like Desley. I don't think she needs to put the lingerie on. It does. I don't know which way to look sometimes. When it comes on, I'm sort of looking at the floor maybe. I don't know, but it does nothing for me. I know there's the other stuff they get into with the sites and all that sort of stuff, and they earn money from, but yeah, it just does absolutely nothing for me at all, Damien. Again, maybe it's just the traditionalist coming out of me, but having the women, I love having women involved in boxing, I will say. But give me Katie Taylor any day with the way she sort of dresses and everything. I know she's more of a tomboy, rather than the lingerie. I can't stand it. And every time Ebony Bridges got on the scales, I'm just like, oh my God, do you realise how cringy that you look, or how cringy you look, especially now that she's a mum. So anyway, not my thing, mate. But I think the shows they put on, though, MVP, are fantastic, mate. They do put on a good show. I'm not so sure about the white canvas, though. It's a bit of a sort of a colour salad, I suppose. A little bit hard to sort of focus on everything. Give me the traditional blue canvas any day, mate. Damien, suck shit, Brad Scott, bring back Hurd. Yeah, we can't talk about footy too much, Damien, because people say it's a boxing show, not a football show, and AFL sucks and gay AFL and all this bullshit. So, but yeah, join the club, Damien. I think we play you guys this week too, don't we? I'm not too confident about that. I always get nervous when we play the Bombers. But, mate, I'll just quickly say about the whole saga with Michael Voss and Brad Scott. Just before we move on, take me 15 seconds. But as an Essendon supporter, and I'm a Carlton supporter, since when are we supposed to just sit back and allow our teams to be shit? And just because it's the right thing to keep the coaches on, are we just expected to accept mediocre shit? So I think if coaches aren't performing, off with their heads. You haven't seen Tim Zoo do it recently. Wasn't connecting with Pedro Diaz, you're gone. So I have no issue with whether it be Michael Voss, Brad Scott, Pedro Diaz, or anyone getting the flick if they can't do the job properly. So I just didn't know it was supposed to be as a fan. And I know the rugby league followers out there with the same boat. Was it the Dragons? I think they lost. I think it was the Dragons lost their coach as well. Since when are we just expected to sit back and cop it? So I just think, well, if the next coach comes along and he's shit as well, get rid of him too. That's my attitude. Anyway, we'll quickly move on. I've probably got your comments mixed up there. I can see something about Sean Zittel in there. I don't know anything about Sean Zittel. I did see someone else sent me something about him the other day, but I don't know much about him, mate. But I'll look him up. Oh, the Ringside Reporter. Now, I reckon I've done a podcast with a guy from the Ringside Reporter before. I'm not sure. Anyway, Drew, I heard a guy on a podcast say is Andrew Maloney still fighting? Why? At first I was offended, but then I kind of agreed. I don't see him winning a future world title. I feel his best days are gone. Well, of course, he's fighting this weekend for a world title. I get why Andrew was sort of forgotten about there for a while. No fault of his own, though. After, I think, the end of, was it 24? He had to fight to keep his ranking. I remember going to the Melbourne Pavilion for that fight. I think it was November 24 or December 24. No, 2024 I'm talking about. To fight to keep his ranking, because I think he'd been beaten earlier that year for the WBC belt on the Lomachenko Kambosos card. So he had a fight end of the year to keep busy and to keep his ranking. Then he had that mid-year fight that fell over, the one in Mexico. Then at the end of the year, he had to go to Fiji, of all places, to fight just to keep his ranking. So by no fault of his own, yes, he has been forgotten about to some extent. But this weekend, mate, he's got an unbelievable chance to be a world champion again. The IBF belt with Willibordo Garcia, a very, very winnable fight for Andrew. And I think he can do it. But I get why he's been almost forgotten about, because really the last 2 years he's been just totally off-grid. But he was supposed to have that world title eliminator last year and it fell through, and he's just had to hang in there, and finally he's got his opportunity, and hopefully this weekend he can get that IBF belt around his waist, and then away we go. Another football question. Do you think Josh Fraser should be Carlton's next coach? Geez, he speaks and handles himself extremely well. Well, again, without spending too much time on it, mate, let's just wait and see how the season pans out. He's had 3 wins in a row. The last weekend against Geelong was amazing. What were they, second or third on the ladder or whatever it was? So amazing win. But let's just see at the end of the year, mate, see how he's tracking and whether he wants the job, of course. All right, Big J. I've been saying from the start that Zuffa is boxing's version of WCW, a hot dumpster fire mess that is doomed to fail. Now you might believe me. Yeah, well, we'll see, mate. I'm not convinced it's not going to fail. I think it will succeed to some extent. But then again, I suppose if it doesn't succeed to its full ambition, then it's a failure, isn't it? I think they will get the system up and going. They're already having regular fights now, but when the big stuff starts, I think you will see these smaller shows on a monthly sort of basis, and then every couple of months you'll see a big pay-per-view thrown in there as well. It's just the content, the stable, who's in the stable and who's on the shows. That's going to be the big question, Big J. Now, look, Conor Benn's already there, but he's got very, very limited time span, I would think. If they get Ryan Garcia and Ortiz and maybe Bam Rodriguez or some of these guys over, okay, we might be talking. But in the meantime, as I said earlier, so far they've got Dick. They've got nothing. Conor Benn and Jai Pataya, we love Jai, but he's been frozen out. And Conor Benn might be the same. What happens if the Ring magazine doesn't put on this big show and Turkey doesn't put in all the money for Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia, and Oscar De La Hoya says, well, not on my watch, mate. You're not having my fighter. Piss off. Then what's Conor Benn got? And if Haney and Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez all go, oh, yeah, maybe not at this stage. You got Conor Benn sitting over there, sitting on his hands, earning all that money for nothing. So it only works if the really good fighters go over and fight each other. It's one thing for Dana to say, well, the best are going to fight the best, but what happens if you haven't got the best? The best of what you have might fight each other. But is that Jai Pataya versus Brendan Glanton type of fights? The best cruiserweights he's got fighting each other, but not the best cruiserweights in the world fighting each other. Explicit, I just remembered about the Matchroom card and also having Eddie and Dana on the same day. Okay. When was that, Explicit? Fill me in. Tony, how are you there, mate? How good is Joel Camilleri? Such a true blue, fair income, down-to-earth fella. His autopsy on Zarafa and Nikita was so spot on, and once he laid it out, it made perfect sense. Yeah, I'm a fan now. Yeah, I've always got along well with Joel Camilleri, Tony. I've always thought maybe his ambitions maybe outweighed his talent, but hey, good luck to him. Good luck to him. I promoted one of his fights back in the day, about 7 or 8 years ago. Really good to deal with, really good supporter base, can sell a venue, no problems whatsoever. And he's down to earth, knows boxing as well, Tony. It's one thing I'll say about Joel. He knows boxing, 100% knows the ins and outs of not just in the ring, but outside the ring as well. And I think once his career's over, I wouldn't be surprised if Joel was a real player as far as not just a trainer, but even a manager and promoter as well. I could just 100% seeing Joel, I could 100% see Joel being a manager and promoter as well as a trainer. So I think you'll do good things in boxing, Joel Camilleri. Tom's dad, Naz, how are you there, mate? What do you got? Other good wins on the Shark versus Ford undercard. So Omari Jones, yeah, I did see that. And Zaquin Moses. Did I see that one? Knocked his opponent out, I think, didn't he? Sorry, guys. I didn't watch the whole card, Naz. I've only watched a couple of fights on the undercard, and I can't remember. I watched the one right before the main event, maybe the one before that. So, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad undercard at all. I was trying to watch the Facebook one as well with the girls because Desley Robinson was fighting, and then Holly Holm and Stephanie Harm were fighting, and sort of trying to go back and forth, and yeah, it was all happening. This Sean Zittel, is it? One thing about Sean is he does ask the questions everyone wants answered. He did it to Dana at the Canelo Bud Presser and has tried to set up an interview with Dana ever since. I think I know the guy, Naz. I was at the press conference that day when Canelo fought Bud. I was in the stadium that day, and he kept trying to ask. I can't remember what he was asking Dana White about, but Dana got his back up and pretty much kept shutting him down. Was it to do with purses or something to do with UFC or something along those lines? I can't remember. But Dana did get his back up about it. And to the point where I think he told him to go sit down and don't ask any more questions. And this, if it is the one I'm thinking about, kept asking questions. And, he kept getting shut down. I think Dana's response was, this is not the time for it. This is not the time and place. Ask me somewhere else. But obviously he doesn't want to talk to him outside of there either. But if that is the guy, yeah, I remember when he started talking, I think, geez, you're a game fella. He just went at him both barrels. So, yeah, let's hope Dana does answer those hard questions, mate. All right, Adam Azim fought well in the UK also on the weekend. TKO'd Steve Claggett in 3 after Claggett took TO 12 rounds a couple of years back. Yes, he did. Not sure if he'll stay with Ben Shalom long term though. Yeah, I'd be doubtful if he did, Naz, because not sure Ben Shalom's really a major player these days. I'm not sure he's got the clout to hang on the fighters if other promoters want them, mate. So he does his thing on the side, Ben Shalom. But and Adam Azim is a very good fighter, trained by Shane McGuigan. So he's a good trainer, Shane McGuigan. So yeah, we'll see, mate. But he was impressive, wasn't he? Steve Claggett, you're right, gave T.O. All sorts of problems a couple of years ago. I saw David Papo is fighting Harlem Eubank in July. Someone must have been impressed with his performance against Paro. There you go. I didn't know that. Harlem Eubank, yeah, it was only a bit of a Timu version of his cousin, or is his brother? Is he Chrissy's brother or cousin? I can't remember. Yeah, he probably deserves another fight, Naz. He performed really well against Liam Paro, and good on him for getting another opportunity. I'm assuming it's in England. Oh, thanks, Naz. By the way, the new logos look great, especially the one where Neil is wearing the gloves. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what people might think of that one, mate, but yeah, if it's there, why not use it? This is the AI I'm talking about. All right, still with Naz, loved your point yesterday about journalists needing to ask real questions and not just being fanboys. Be good to hear George explain why every pay-per-view is worth $70, even if a prospect is the main. Yep, I would like to hear that as well, Naz. And look, I get it at the press conferences because most of the time, and Eddie Hearn's done it himself, where the journalists don't really get to ask questions with the Matchroom press conferences. Normally just Eddie Hearn will talk and then he'll interview the fighters, which is a really unique way of doing it. But the ones that go to the press conferences are only just after. They're just most of them are just a journalist from the mainstream media who are just after a few lines and quotes to put in a pretty happy, cozy, sort of loving type of story about the event. That's all they do. So it's not until they get actual interviews on podcasts and everything else that sometimes you get the hard questions asked. But again, it's normally just a bit of a love fest, isn't it, between the interviewer and the promoter or fighter, whoever it is. It's just a bit of a happy chat for 20 or 30 minutes. But I don't think someone like a George Rose, I would assume, would be that stressed about actually being asked the questions. I just got a feeling that sometimes the person that interviews them is just happy again to be there and get a chat with the man, and it just probably doesn't even enter their mind to even ask those type of hard questions. So yeah, if you watch his channel since day dot, you've always seen that I've done interviews, lots of interviews over the journey, but it's not really my thing. Yeah, it might be something I wouldn't mind even asking as well, because I don't really care. I don't care about getting media credentials and all that sort of stuff. If they don't want to get asked the tough questions, well, that's on them. So we'll see. But hopefully someone else out there that's seen this will, and maybe got gist of what everyone's talking about, maybe they will ask those hard questions. All right. Also, Howie thinks it's not disrespectful to put NRL. Oh, this is the question. How it's not disrespectful to put NRL novices above legit world-class fighters on a card. Just a straight answer would be nice, but no one will ask. Well, not only will they probably not ask Naz, I think he would just pretty much laugh it off and change the subject. And you got to remember, a lot of promoters are like politicians. You ask them a question and you never get a straight answer. You'll ask a question and they'll talk for 3 or 4 minutes. At the end of it, you go, hang on, where'd we go with this? It's got nothing to do with the question I just asked. And they'll give you a nice spin and they'll use their hands and they'll be nice, well spoken, but they will not answer your question. That's why the way a lot of promoters are. They get very media savvy, a lot of these promoters, and they know how to answer and how to sort of get you off on track. And if you come back, they'll go off track again. That's just what they do. So if you're out there and you're a YouTuber or an influencer or whatever the hell it is, then come on, let's step up your game and start asking the hard questions. All right, Naz, I'd like to know that question, the answer to that question though too, Naz. Why is an NRL fight the co-main event that features a guy that could be fighting for a world title later this year? We will see. I do understand why they need him for the promotion. I get it. It's to help raise the money to fund a very expensive card. So no problems. But does it have to be co-main event? Liam Wilson wasn't even on the backdrop of the press conference. I mean, come on. Wouldn't you, if you're those rugby players, wouldn't you have to be a little bit embarrassed about that? Or are they so egotistical that they actually think that they're actual real players in the sport? I don't know. What's this one here? I wonder if Andrei Mikhailovich might get the call up to fight Jamal. And if Jamal ends up on the card, could Brock get thrown to the Wolves again? Well, I think if Brock is being trained by Jeff Fennick, it might be a little bit of a different story. Though I reckon on the night, Jeff wouldn't want anyone to take his focus away from Tim. So it probably wouldn't be. And unless Jeff was in Brock's corner, I don't think he'd stand a chance against anyone. And I think even Brock would be thinking, yeah, maybe I won't bite off more than I can chew next time, because that would have been a hell of a shock to Brock that this is elite boxing. And it's not even the top elite, because you see what happened to Thurman against Fundora. As for Andrei Mikhailovich, mate, I just think he's had too many dramas outside the ring. I'm not so sure they would want to go down that route of having Mikhailovich on the card. Look, Andre can fight, but again, he just really don't know his psychological state at the time. And I follow him on social media. I've seen him talk a little bit about what has happened during his career, especially in camps and that sort of stuff. I just think he needs to work himself out outside the ring. And I know he is getting himself together, but is he ready to fight someone like a Jamal? I don't think so. All right, Desley is the epitome of what it is to be an Aussie. Hard work, never give up, never complain, and push until you achieve what you set out for. She's a national treasure, in my opinion. She certainly is, Naz, and great to see her on the big stage doing her thing. All right, so geez, your comments are way out of whack there, Naz. Evening, all he says. I've just read about 80 of your comments out. Sean Ziddle, okay, did a video yesterday after he called Jose Benavides to clarify the whole David Jai and Noel thing. Is convoluted, but worth a listen. Okay, well, maybe you can get a little bit out of that, guys. Go and check out Sean Zittel. It sucks that Jai is the one to suffer, but can you really blame the sanctioning bodies for refusing to make it easy for Zuffa, who publicly stated they wouldn't work with or recognise him? Yep, as I said earlier, Naz, 100%. It does not surprise me, and I can't blame the sanctioning bodies at all for making things difficult for a fighter that's chosen to go away from their model. Surely there are clauses in Jai's contract on the type of fights he will get, title fights, etc. He's always been clear about what's important, and I find it hard to believe he's signed with zero guarantees. You and me both, Naz, and there's another great question to ask. What was in the contract that had in there what Zuffa was going to promise Jai? Now, I know they can't promise him everything. You can't promise they're going to get these fights when they've still got to negotiate with the opposing fighter's promoter and manager and broadcaster, all that sort of stuff. So I don't think you can do that. But what they could have said is that, mate, I suppose what can they say? You can't really give any guarantees. So I'm not sure. Look, it's a good question, though, because I'm not sure any promoter, whether it be Zuffa or Golden Boy or Top Rank, could actually put in a fighter's contract. We will get you X amount of title fights. We will get you X amount of type of fights. I don't think they could actually do it because there's no guarantees. You can't put in there you're going to get them to unify the belts, because then you mightn't be able to come to terms with the other champions. So it's a good question, but I'm not sure how it all works with the contracts. But I'd like to know what was in Jai's contract, just like you, mate, because there have to be some sort of outline of what they were putting into Jai. I mean, it's a business agreement. It's not just come with us, mate, and we'll just do our best. There's got to be some sort of parameters. So it's a good call, mate, and hopefully one day we find out. Thank you, Big J, with the thumbnail. Yeah, Chat GBT. There is Mr. Gentleman, sir. How are you there, mate? All right, I see one other fight has been added to the Paro Crocker card. Wish they'd hurry up and release the rest. The suspense is killing me. Will you be going to that event? I don't know, Eminem. I don't know. I've just got a lot on with a business at the moment. Been doing a few hours in store and at the pub and everything like that. So I don't know. Let's have a quick look at the card just quickly then, eh? Shall we? All right. So I think was there about 5 fights on that card so far? Let's have a look. I got the big car. Hang on, is that one? No, hang on. No. Where are we? Liam Paro. I'll type his name in. All right. There is Liam. So what fight has been added there? Let's have a quick look. We've got Lewis, Crocker, Liam Paro, Wilson, Marin, Dempson, McKeon, Luke Medini. Oh, okay. Calvin Jensen and Adam Spall. Okay, well, that's definitely going to convince people to buy the fight, isn't it? Hey, it's good to have another fight added to the card, so can't complain about it. Good fight. Looks of things, 6-1 versus 5-0-1, so should be a good fight. But yeah, I'm not sure where I'll be going yet, mate. Probably not. I might go to the Tim's fight, but Not so sure about the Crocker and Paro fight. Shouldn't be too far away. All right, Ado, Will the Baldo and Maloney should be a banger. Will be a phone booth fight, tough fight to call. Hart will triumph. How do you see it play out? Well, as I said earlier, Ado, I think it's a very, very winnable fight for Andrew. I agree that it'll be toe-to-toe. It'll be, well, will it? Because Will the Baldo Garcia, good, tough, strong, aggressive type of fighter, but he's all over the place when he throws his punches. He's very wild, really swings his punches half the time. I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew more boxes in more from a distance and becomes a bit of a sharpshooter. I think if you get into a phone booth type of fight with Will Baldo Garcia, you're really just playing into his hand. So I think Andrew, he's a very, very good boxer when he wants to be as well, by the way. I think maybe the opposite. I think maybe Andrew, whether he does or not, but I think he should box from a distance and really sharpshoot Will Baldo Garcia from a distance. Mexicans, as you know, are just hard as nails. Very rarely do you stop or knock out a Mexican, so I don't think he should be trying to out-brawl Will Baldo Garcia, but just box it from a distance, box smart, probably a little bit like Jason did against Astrolabio a couple of years ago, I would say. That's the way I would fight him. Just get the points, win the fight, and don't worry about putting on a fan-friendly fight. Just get the job done, and I think he's a great chance to do it. G'day, Kookaburra Kit Kat. Welcome to the show. What's that there, Shadowbox? I personally like the new thumbnail of you and Big J with the blue gloves on. Okay. All right, Mike from Melbourne. How are you there, Mike? Yes, I'm well, thank you. I had Home winning that fight clearly. Hahn just let Home circle left and didn't make the obvious adjustment of circling to her own right to open up her jab. I'm with you, mate. I had Home winning 6 rounds to 4, and I thought a couple of those rounds I was pretty generous to Hahn. Now, look, depends on how you score it, and you've got to take in consideration the hometown crowd, all that sort of stuff, I suppose. Or do you? You're a judge, it shouldn't matter. I just didn't see Hahn do anything. I thought she boxed smart from a distance, but didn't really land anything hard. She went some okay punches, but I just thought Home did everything that a challenger should do. She was busy, she was aggressive, she was forcing the fight. I thought she did enough to win, mate, and I thought it was at least 6-4, maybe 7-3. But I had her winning the fight. Hahn's a very, very good fighter. I just don't think she did enough to win. So, okay. So I love the new thumbnail, but can you make it with a croc? Okay, with an army rising sun tattoo wearing my old Big J hat. Okay, all right. I'll see what I can do, mate. Unless someone else has beat me to it and done it for you. I'll see what I can do. All right, Drew, if you could go back in time and choose one fight in history in the best seat and know the result now but have no idea of the result prior to the fight, which fight would you choose? Well, I think, did we do this a few weeks ago? I can't remember what actually, I think Big J might have asked that question actually. If you go with one fight in history, I'd probably go back, I mean, there's so many, isn't there? Best seat in the house, know the result now, but have no idea the result prior to the fight. Which fight would you choose? The one that keeps jumping off the page is Ali Fraser 1. You know, that was a massive fight back in the day. Yeah, I think so. You could maybe say Ali and Foreman, but I think at the time everyone just thought Foreman was going to win. So there's really even though it was a massive upset and a real shock, I think everyone's mindset going in there wouldn't have been, oh, geez, who's going to win? It was all about Ali, and it was the upset that created history. But for Ali and Fraser 1, yeah, I mean, the hype and all that around that fight would have been unbelievable. So, yeah, probably that one, mate. But, again, there's so many out there. But, yeah, Ali Fraser 1 for me. Big J, any reason why No Limit has completely dropped off women's boxing? They had it going well, but over the last few months, it's completely dropped off. Have they actually had any women's fights on their card recently, Big J? I don't think they have. Which is unbelievable to think that how big women's boxing is in Australia at the moment, how our girls are absolutely kicking ass out there on the world scene, and No Limit haven't got a women's boxing program. I'm just guessing, apologies if I forget anyone, but you've got Desi Robinson, Kay Scott, obviously Sky Nicholson, Shanika Johnson, Ebony Bridges. I know they're with MVP, but I'm just putting them out there. Maya Solomon, who fought for... Taylor Jensen fought, did she fight for the world title recently as well? I'm just trying to think. Was there someone else I've forgotten that recently fought? Someone got stopped recently. I can't remember who it was. But there's like 8 or 9 straight off the bat there. Not to mention the Jazzy Pars of the world who they did have. So many excellent women boxers out there. And they don't give a shit about it, old mate Big J. So yeah, I'm with you. Why they haven't tried to. I was just going to backtrack. They had Chanel Dargan there, by the way, who they could have got behind as well. I know Ambi Amelia was on the cards as well, but why they haven't got behind women's boxing in this country is just bewildering to me, Big J. And that is probably in this day and age that we live in, something they really should be held to account over as well. And that's another maybe important question. George Rose, with you having the keys to the Ferrari in this country and women's boxing, there's probably about 10 of them that are on the world stage at the moment. Maybe there's more, maybe a dozen. Why doesn't No Limit have anyone or any money or time or anything invested in women's boxing in this country? Why do you not have women fighters on your cards? And why haven't you got behind and invested in not just one woman's or female boxer, but the whole genre? Why not? I think it's a legitimate question. Up to a dozen fighters on the world stage and they don't have any of them. Just does not make any sense to me there, mate. Yeah, Ryan, finally doing the AI thing. Was it you that's been harassing me, is it? Yeah, I'm on board, Ryan. I'm there. All right, Richard. Holly Holm does it all. She also competed in that new amateur wrestling promotion out over there in the States. Is that right? There you go. She just loves fighting, I think, Holly Holm, whether it's boxing, UFC or MMA, whatever it is, and now wrestling. So good on her. She's a warrior, that's for sure. As old mate Big J said, paying $90 to watch Tim Tszyu fight a blown-up, washed-up welterweight is a bit outlandish. Yes, Big J, I know. You've been pretty outspoken about that. Jai got paid $2.4 million for his last fight, says Polly the Farmer. I highly doubt he's regretting three times the paycheck. Yeah, good in theory there, Polly. I get it. He's made 2.4, but how much would he get for a Benavidez fight that's just been taken off the table? Probably twice that, and now he's not going to get that fight. And the 2.4, is it just great to have you on board, Jai? 2.4, brother. There you go. We'll just put you in with this guy, get you a nice win under your belt, get that $2.4 million. Happy days, and let's go. And then as the time goes on, maybe those purses, if they're not against bigger guys, high-profile names might just come back a tad. There's no way Conor Benn's getting paid $15 million for every one of his fights, I can tell you. So for this one, okay, he's probably thinking of 2.4 is great, but I'm talking about the long run. Look outside the square or circle, whatever you might want to call it. Look outside the barriers there. Great to get 2.4 for his last fight, but with the Noel Michelanian fight paid maybe 3.4, he's not going to get now, plus a shot at the belt. With the Benavidez fight being 4.8 or $5 million, now that's off the table. That's what you got to look at, mate. So it's great for the here and now to get 2.4, but what about going down the track? He's just lost out on potentially some massive paydays. So you got to look at the big picture, mate. Richard says, Jai sounds pissed in all his interviews, so who knows how he really feels. Yeah, he does, yeah. Every interview he does, he seems pissed off, doesn't he? And he always sort of reiterates the same message, doesn't he? I want undisputed, and I want the best, and why aren't these people fighting me? All right, Drew. Sorry, Batman. Dana has done nothing in the UK market. He has his first official card with Bill and Smith and has sold like 1,600 tickets. Wow. Long way to go. He wasn't even the promoter for the Fury card. No, there you go, mate. So I'm with you there. You obviously agree with me about Dana. He's got to start doing his thing or step up or step off, I suppose, is the old phrase. I'm still with Batman. I do expect big things from them at some point, but Dana hasn't done a big fight without Turkey, just pretending he was the promoter. Yeah, well, he has sort of been pretty vocal about being front and center for the Canelo and Crawford fight. I don't think he had basically anything to do with that fight except be the front man for it and try and get a little bit of cred with the boxing fans, I suppose. So Turkey, we all know, is behind that. Yeah, put on your big boy pants, Dana, and let's see what you got in the boxing world. Not going to be as easy as the UFC, I can tell you. What else have we got there? The venue CBS is fighting at only holds about $1,600. Okay. Triple SM, sorry. All right, Benavidez was offered five. Just a quick one, though. Is that triple SM? I know you're having a bit of a crack at Batman there. Only holds 1,600. Why have we got a fight between a former world champion in Chris Bellin-Smith and Ryan Riziki, who's also an Englishman, I think, isn't he? Or is he Canadian? Is he? whatever. But well, at least we see Billum Smith, CBS, a big name English fighter, and they put him in a stadium that holds 1,600 people. My little shows in Melbourne used to get 1,600 people there. So why would you be holding it in a venue like that in the first place? So I get what you're saying, having a crack at Batman there, but and probably don't need to call him that. But yeah, I mean, while you put it back on Dana White and the UFC, not UFC, Zuffa Boxing, why are they putting a big fight like that they could probably get 3 or 4 times that amount of people there? Why are they putting it in a 1,600-seat arena? That's just ridiculous. All right, Vincent Benavidez was offered $5 million, like Noel. Benavidez was offered $5 million for Noel by Turkey to fight Jai, and only Noel accepted. Apparently, Noel is prepared to let his belt go as bigger payday from Turkey. Oh, okay. Well, I was very doubtful about that, Vincent, that Noel Michelanian we're talking about would give up the WBC belt to fight Jai. I didn't think he'd do it. No, I thought there's no way he's going to give up his world title belt to fight under the Zuffa banner pretty much. So, oh, well, we'll see, Vincent. Hope you're right there, mate, that he gives up the belt and fights Jai. Anyway, we'll see. Any fight news for Cooper? Now, it's all about visas at this stage, Eminem. Apparently, they wanted him on a card at the end of June. I know time is fast running out, but he had to come home because when you apply for the visa, you can't. I think you've got to go home and apply. Something like that it's a little bit weird the way you have to do it. You can't be in the country while they assess your visa. You've got to go back to your country of origin. So he's back here in Australia at the moment. But they want to get him over there. So Samson Lukovic, his new manager, wants to get him over there at the end of June for a card. But at this stage, is waiting for it to go through. And I think he said he had to fly to Perth to do something with his visa, because something to do within Sydney. They had such a backlog, or Sydney or Brisbane, whatever it was. There was a massive backlog as far as applications go. So it would have been months before they got around to it. So he had to go to Perth to apply, and apparently they've got a shorter list or whatever, and they're hoping to get it done so he can get over there for the end of June. So look, it's no big rush. He's only 19 years of age. He's got plenty of time, but that is the plan there, Eminem, to get him a fight at the end of on a card at the end of June over in the States. What's that there, Big J? You owe me $6. That's the 80. Those that don't know, I've patented the washed up, blown up welterweight. It's now $3 to me every time you say it. All right, sweet as. Did you see the boxer card in the UK on the weekend? No, I didn't. 21-year-old girl Francesca Hennessy on the undercard looked great. Good skills and composure for a young girl. Big future for her, one to watch. Okay, mate, I'll check that out. Francesca Hennessy. Oh, we'll keep an eye on her. What's that? Never mind, I was wrong. I heard Eddie Hearn say it only held about 1,600 people. Okay, all right. I'll let you guys sort that out. All right, Vincent. Benavidez couldn't accept as Turkey didn't want to work with PBC. Okay, well, that's a nice little sort of backdrop to the whole thing. Yeah, well, whatever. Let's hope it all works out. Great nickname, $1 billion baby. Who was that, sweet as? Sorry, who are you talking about there? Oh, Francesca Hennessy, $1 billion baby. Don't mind that. $1 billion, okay. All right. Okay, I'll keep going there. Okay, Batman and Triple SM have sorted it out. That's good. Zuffa have done no big fights, just Dana talking up his mediocre cards. That's where I'm with at Batman. I agree. This is what I was saying earlier. Where's those big fights? He's about to do his 7th just small time, would you even call it a club show? It's in his garage or training centre. I'm not judging Zuffa until I see him step out and go to one of the big arenas with a big card. Then we'll see what they've got. Not under the ring banner, Zuffa banner. That's what I want to see. I don't want him in conjunction with Turkey and someone else, and Turkey puts on some of his fighters on the cards. No, I want a standalone Zuffa card, and let's see what Dana can come up with. I know he hasn't got all those big names yet. I get it. But when the time comes, I just want to see what he can do compared to all the other promoters out there. Yeah, I'm with you. The only Zuffa fight I'm excited for is CBS and Raziki. Well, yeah, I'm not really excited about that either, mate. I'm just, okay, I'll watch it, but like, okay, it's on. I'll watch it. That's about it for me. All right, Big J. I would very much like to know how Zuffa fighters such as Conor Benn, nepotism maybe, and CBS are eligible to fight for the WBC and IBF belts, but Jai gets left out in the dark. Load of BS. I don't think, well, Conor Benn's not, well, at this stage anyway, well, the fight hasn't even been signed yet, although it looks like it's going to be September 12th with the WBC. I think it just comes back to whether the WBC will allow it, Big J. I think that's what it is. The IBF said no, they're not going to sanction it. And I got a feeling with the CBS fight, that's not for the IBF belt, as far as I know. It's for the Zuffa belt, isn't it? Let me have a look here. It just says cruiserweight belt, 10 rounds, so it's not for any belt. Definitely not for the IBF belt there, Big J, the Bill and Smith fight. So he's not eligible to fight for that, I wouldn't have thought. And which it's really surprised me because I'm pretty sure Bill and Smith was number 1 with the IBF. So he could have been fighting for the IBF belt. And he's not fighting for any belt, and now he's going to be blacklisted as well. Unless they do make it for, was Jai's fight was 12 rounds, wasn't it? Or was it just a 10-rounder? Whatever it was. Anyway, but yeah, the WBC, that hasn't been signed off on yet. And the IBF, well, they're not sanctioning the CBS fight, so we'll see. All right, Naz, an interesting walking boxing topic. Best to have career cut short. Yeah, e.g. Salvador Sanchez, Wilfred Benitez, Spencer Oliver, yeah, Dimitri Pirog. What's the other one? The lightweight, Edwin Valero is probably another one. There's a few out there, mate. Not a bad one at all, mate. I might look into that. There's so much happening in boxing at the moment, though. What I do, with things like that, some topics, I just sort of make a note and I'll have things ready to go in case there's not much to talk about. But I've got a backlog of about 7 or 8 different topics at the moment that I haven't been able to get to because every day something else comes up. Drew, I might be wrong, but I get, I might be wrong, but I kind of get the impression Dana naively thought all the big fighters would rush to Zuffa as soon as they started giving his insults towards the sanctioning bodies when they began. I'm with you there, Drew. I think he deliberately antagonized everyone involved in boxing to get a reaction because he just knew that, or thought that everyone was going to come to him. And yeah, it's okay for the Conor Benns of the world to go over, but all the others are either in contract or just happy with where they were and weren't prepared to be the first guinea pig to go over to Zuffa and risk losing the belt. And unfortunately, Jai Pataya was one of those people that decided to go, and look where it got him in the end. So that's, again, going to make it difficult to get the world champions over there, the big names, because they're going to want to meet the same fate as Jai. And I know they all want money, and that's great, but they also want belts. And if the promoters that aren't with Zuffa are coming close to what Zuffa are offering, well, of course they're going to stay where they are. They might get some out-of-contract stars, but at the moment they haven't got any stars. I mean, even Jai, we love Jai as a star. Well, is he a star here in Australia? Probably not even here in Australia. Conor Benn's just in England. They haven't really got any stars at all at this stage. Worldwide stars I'm talking about. So, yeah, I don't think it's all just going to happen for them. What's that? To be fair, Zuffa may have put out mediocre fights, but the threat is very real. I mean, the WBO and IBF unified because of Zuffa. Yeah, no, and you're right, and that's what I said. I'm not saying they're mediocre fights. I'm just saying they're just not fights or cards that have really got me excited. It's just me. Maybe some of you out there that love the cards I put on. They have been competitive cards, don't get me wrong, but there hasn't been any of them apart from the Jai cards, only because it's Jai, not because of the fight in general. I was like really looking forward to and excited for. I couldn't wait to see Jai in Vegas on a big card and all the rest of it and being the first for the Zuffa belt. But if I hadn't been a Jai Pataya fan, I probably would have yawned. Jai, who's this guy? Oh, that's the guy that Bill and Smith beat, and he's fighting for a so-called world title. That would have been my point of view. So I'm not saying they're mediocre. They have been competitive. They just haven't really got me excited about it all. But I will agree, the threat is very real. I'm not wiping Dana off. I'm just saying it's not going to all happen for him. And he needs to step up or he's not going to get the support. Yeah, yep. And I said that as well. All the promoters gathered to DAZN like the Avengers because of Zuffa, so it goes both ways. Well, that's one good thing to come out of it, their Triple SM, is that all the promoters got together under DAZN. And I think it's great because it's so ironic that it's taken Zuffa to finally get all the promoters sort of on the same page working together. It's never been the case ever in the history of boxing. And all it's taken is a threat of Zuffa to get them all together. So if one thing's that's come out of it that's actually good, then it's that. To get all those promoters now working together, I think it's fantastic, and I really hope they succeed. I really do. Because I'll be honest, I'm not on the Zuffa train. I'm prepared to give them a chance, but I'm not on the train. I want the traditional way of we've always done things. I just want it to be done better. That's all. Especially the sanctioning bodies. The sanctioning bodies are supposed to be an impartial entity. Them stripping Jai was an unjust use of power and completely unprofessional on their end. But was it unjust? If it's in the Constitution and rules and regulation and bylaws and all the rest of it, well, maybe they had every right. They did actually. I get what you're saying. They're supposed to be impartial, but at the end of the day, if it's written clearly, and by the all accounts it was, because they listed the act or whatever that was, the bylaw or whatever it was in the Constitution, that said that if it was an unsanctioned fight could constitute another belt that's not under the recognised banner of the world thing, whatever it is, unified belt thing or whatever, I can't remember what it's even called, then they have the right to not sanction it. And that's what they did. So it's not really an unjust use of power. It is just a use of power. It's a use of their powers and their own laws and everything else. So, mate, we can jump up and down as much as we want, but it wasn't unjust at all. Or maybe it might be, we'll see if it goes through the courts, but from what I can gather and what I've read and all the laws and regulations they listed and the clauses and all that other stuff they listed, it wasn't unjust at all. They were in their power to strip him, and they did. My argument is they shouldn't have, even if they had the right to do it, they shouldn't have done it. There should have been a meeting with Jai and Mick to sit down and go, okay, now, really by rights we should be stripping you, but we're not going to strip you, but this is what's going to happen going forward. That's what they should have done. That's my argument. They had every right to strip him, but I don't think they should have. They should have sat down with him and Mick, gone through it all, shaken hands, clarified exactly where the IBF stood. So going forward, if Jai and Mick and Dana wanted to put the Zuffa belt up against the IBF belt, then they would expect to be stripped. But I think there's just been this mass miscommunication between all parties by the sounds of things. I just think the IBF were just totally wrong for just stripping him without actually sitting down and trying to work it out and having a little bit of compassion for a champion that loved the belt and wanted to keep the belt. So is it unjust? Absolutely not. Is it unprofessional? Absolutely not-ish, if that's a word. Unprofessional? No, it's not unprofessional because they're quite within the rights to do it. I just think it was unfair. I suppose that's probably what I would say. Completely just, completely professional. I just don't agree with the decision they made. That's all. All right, I think I got a super chat there from you there, mate. What is it there? Thanks for the $5, mate. Appreciate that. They didn't enforce it with Usyk or under the IBO title fights. Well, I don't know what happens with the IBO. Well, the IBO hasn't tried to have a fight with Zuffa yet. Oh, you're talking about IBO and IBF. Yeah, I'm not so. Is the IBO under the unified thing? I'm not sure. The Usyk thing's a little bit different though, mate, because they didn't sanction it, but I've got a feeling they've said to Usyk, like they didn't sanction the fight, but I would think they would have said to Usyk that you've got X amount of time to defend it against a proper contender, or then he'll be maybe in line to be stripped. I think that's the difference. Jai went ahead with a fight that they didn't want him or they didn't want to sanction, so they stripped him. Usyk, even though Verhoeven wasn't ranked, we didn't have this Zuffa situation. It was just Usyk and the other sanctioned belts. So that's probably why he wasn't stripped, like the WBA and the WB. Well, he hasn't got the WBO, has he? So that's the difference, is that there was no Zuffa belt up for grabs with Alexander Usyk. And I would have thought that they would have said to Usyk, you have 4, 5, 6 months to defend it against a proper contender, or you might be stripped. That's the difference, I would think. But I'm not sure what happened with the IBO belts there, mate. Whether it's under the proper sanctioned sort of body thing, I'm not sure. But look, end of the day, what I will agree on is that it's no accident that they've stripped Jai to make a statement. That's what's happened. And even though they had every right to do it, again, I'll say it's completely unfair that they did it. And they should have tried to at least smooth things over with Jai with a bit of a warning. This is not a guy who didn't give a shit about the belt. This is a guy who wanted the belt, was proud of the belt, displayed it everywhere at all the press conferences and weigh-ins and everything else that he did. And to say it wasn't displayed properly, I think that was weak as piss from the IBF for sure. All right, so I'm going to keep going till we get through the comments here, guys. So I'm not going to rush through them. Jeez, looks like I'm way behind though. Where are we? All right. Where are we? Okay. Yep, the comments come through, Damien, just all over the place, mate. All right. Mr. Gentleman, not gonna hold back, but today's show is effing boring. Okay, Zuffa. It's more politics and less about boxing tonight. Let's hope some proper boxing updates between now and next week. Well, mate, I just answer the questions. Don't blame me. It's the chat that want to talk about Zuffa, so it's not me that decides the agenda, mate. So yeah, you're probably right. It's definitely right about Zuffa tonight, but I just go along with the flow of the show, mate. So it's not really on me. It's on everyone wanting to talk about Zuffa. So it is what it is. Is the volume low? Not from my end there, mate, I don't think. I've got the volume sort of turned up as high as it can go, I'm pretty sure. Yep, it's up flat out there, mate. So I'm not quite sure what's happening with your volume, mate. So apologies about that. All right, since you know Mick Francis, says Shadow Boxer, do us all a favour next time you see him and grab him by the shirt and yell why while shaking him repeatedly. Yeah, well, I have no dramas. I normally talk to him every sort of few months. He's obviously got a bit going on at the moment, but I am 100% next time I talk to Mick, I'm gonna ask him whether it's in an interview sort of format. I'll just ask him as a person that knows him. I'll just say, well, mate, why? And I'll say, Shadow Boxer asked. Yes, Glenn, make a suggestion. I'm sorry you can't hear me there, Glenn. I'll try and talk a little bit closer to the microphone, but everything's up flat out at the moment, so I'm not sure what happened there. Yeah, just ask a question, Mr. Gentleman. All right, there's an upcoming Melbourne Pavilion show, Pretender to Contender. Is that the Alice show, Mr. Gentleman? I'm not quite sure, mate, but I think that's the Alice show. They think they do Pretender to Contender. And I don't know anyone on the card, Glenn. Oh, there you go. Glenn, non-boxing news. The Dragons finally won after 11 straight losses. Well, there you go. And I'll be happy to talk about rugby league this week. And hey, I will say as well, and I know I'll get in trouble again by people saying, you never just talk about boxing. Rugby league last week, from a rusted on AFL fan, like true blue AFL fan, born, bred, just AFL till I die. I actually watched the State of Origin last week and totally enjoyed the game. So there you go. I enjoyed the game. I didn't really understand a lot of it or most of it, but the last sort of 10 minutes or so was very enthralling, and I quite enjoyed the game. So there you go. And I actually watched a bit of the Storm game on Saturday night. I had at the pub. I had sort of AFL on one channel and the Storm on the other channel, and it was good to see them get a loss as well. So, a win as well. But good on the Dragons there, Glenn. Congratulations, and glad you snapped your loss. I think it was against the Broncos too, wasn't it? Which was a bit of an upset. Yeah, Big J, get on there, mate. I'm not sure a lot of them are going to want to talk to you, though, Big J. I've got a feeling. I think they'll like what you're going to ask them. Oh, yeah, Alice, yep. I never heard of the main event fighters, but it's a super cruiserweight title, Miller versus Elton. Is that, what Miller is it? Just trying to think. I think I've promoted him before. The name escapes me anyway, but yeah, there is a Miller that fights for the Alices, and he is a cruiserweight. What's that? Joe in his situation is pretty much the hot news, as he's our number one boxer. He's covering everything else and everything about. He was asking his opinion about it. Okay, yep, I think that's right. Yeah, but I'm just saying, look, again, I don't dictate which direction we go, guys. This is your show. I just answer the questions that are on the screen. So if you want to change the subject, then ask me whatever you want to ask me. Yeah, good way to handle it there, Joe. We don't need insults and that going around. Just quietly, just sort it out, and cheers to everyone involved. Joe, you got fat fingers. All good. Struggling to type at the moment. Blame the fat fingers in the cast. Oh, okay. Well, I hope the arm heals all right there, Joe. All right. Okay. So Triple SM says, I'd say right now, Zuffa has been good for Jai. Okay. He's had more publicity about him worldwide than ever before. They still have 2.5 years to remedy his start at Zuffa. That is a really good point. I will say one good thing about it, if you want one example, overnight, he was a bit of I won't say household name all over America, but to all the fight fans, he was suddenly a bit like Conor Benn was, suddenly on the name on everyone's lips. And the attention and the media exposure that Jai got out of being the first fighter at the Simon Zuffa was something money can't buy. So, yes, that is one good thing to come out of it. Well, Glenn opposes that, says, good, mate, he doesn't have a belt. His next fight won't be for one. He wanted to be undisputed. He's a long way from that. Yes, that is another good point. Yeah, Glenn, New South Wales beat Queensland in Origin. Happy days. Yeah, I wasn't really barracking for anyone. I was really liking what Queensland did early. Like their style. But then when New South Wales came back, I was thinking, look at this happen. So, and I was sort of, as they say in America, rooting for New South Wales to get it done, but I didn't really care who really got over the line. I think they're at the MCG next, aren't they? There'll be 100,000 there for that, so it'll be good atmosphere for game 2. How did I watch the MVP shows? Just on Facebook, mate, on the MVP Facebook page. And I had the Zone going on the other channel for the Foster and Ford card. Joe, female boxers wearing lingerie does my head in. Do they realise they are a role model to young girls coming up? I understand the reasons why they do it, but I don't agree with them. Just my 2 cents. Well, I agree with you 100%, Joe, and I'm with you as far as being role models to young girls. You got to balance it out though with them trying to cash in. They don't get big purses compared to the guys. Guys don't have to do shit. Not that many of them, except for that guy that wears the G string, whatever he's on the old fella. The one that just fought in Australia. Fought pretty well too against young Mundine. But on with it. They don't need to do it. I sort of understand why they do, but I think they've also got to look at those young girls coming up. And I don't want to see the young girls coming through thinking they have to do that to be accepted. I just think it's a bit awkward, if you ask me. Especially the ones that doesn't really suit. And while I love Desi Robinson and everything she's doing, I just don't think that suits her to put on the lingerie. But again, if she's making money out of it, then good on her. She's got to put food on the table and make as much out of this sport while she can, so no drama. But I just think she's better than that. And I don't like the lingerie, if I'm being honest. But again, I'm just an old fella who from yesteryear. Damien, I grew up obviously not liking Carlton, but I want to see them do good. Enough of these club greats being down in the shit. Great clubs being down in the shit for years. Well, it's always a better competition when the Blues and the Bombers are up there, mate, isn't it? And the fact we're both near the bottom of the... we need them at the top. And the fact that we're both down near the bottom at the moment is not good for the competition, I think, mate. So there's nothing better. You ever seen a little bit at the moment with the baggers up and about, just how much interest and like that crowd on Friday night was just nuts. And I've got no doubt that if Essendon come good, they'll be the same. Glenn, nothing is in Zuffa's control. That's the issue. Give me a reason that one of the sanctioning bodies need to work with them. There isn't one. No, there's not. None at all, Glenn. I agree. Okay. It's Joe Habib. Okay, so it's the guy that works with Joe Habib on the ringside reporter. That's him, is it? Sean Zittel. I'll check him out. I haven't watched any of their videos for a while, but I'll check it out. Once the Ali Revival Act passes, that phases out all secondary belts in the US, and that will cut off a lot of revenue. Zuffa can fill that void. Well, we'll see. We'll see. It's a good call, though. Good point. He's going to see Scary Movie 6 this week. I didn't know it was coming out, mate. Nah, not for me. I don't really like those type of movies. Hang on, we got another super chat. Shout out, old mate G Banger the Madman. Yeah, $2. Thanks very much, mate. Yep. Yeah, he was definitely entertaining, wasn't he? What was his name? Oh, G Banger. You need characters like that, don't you? I didn't like when Anthony Mundine said he was going to punch him in the face if he saw him. I want to see that at weigh-ins. I think it's fantastic. All right, Glenn, that is a disgrace what they're doing with the Ali Act. Dana getting favours of Trump. Yeah, I think, it could be, maybe it's Trump, maybe it's just, isn't the Senate? I don't think it's really on Trump, is it? But anyway, I don't want to get political, but I thought it was more just the Senate that that do it. I know it'll be accused that it's all his mates in the Senate, but aren't the Senate sort of elected? Oh, I don't know. I'm not getting into all that, but whatever it is, though, Glenn, it's a disgrace what's happening with that Ali Act. That's my thoughts as well. All right, Damien, what's interesting is what is Turkey going to do? He's playing both sides and has his hand in both jars. Don't think he's going to pull the rug on someone soon. No, I wouldn't have thought so, mate, but he is spreading himself very, very thin, isn't he, old Turkey? So, and you're right, he's going to have a foot in both camps, isn't he? But that's what I suppose dictators do. They control it one way or another. They've got feet in all different camps to maintain control. Are you watching the UFC White House in 2 weeks? It's on a Monday as well. Of course I will, Damien. Not necessarily for the fights. I want to see what it looks like. Well, I'll watch the fights. Is it a main event? I'm assuming it is. But how good is that? I've been to the White House before. It's an unbelievable sight. And where they're going to put the ring will be unbelievable. So, yes, I'll be watching it, mate. Ado says, I think Zittel was raising the Ali Act with Dana. Okay, so Dana was on the channel, was he? Okay. Oh, sorry. At the Canelo Crawford, press conference. Yep, I remember that. The only thing changing on the Ali Act is phasing out all secondary belts and allowing a UBO. Okay, every other fighter in the traditional space has the same rights on the original law. Yes, but is it just a law so they can bring in that UFC type of model? Or obviously it is, isn't it? That's what they want to do. So, well, we'll see. We'll see. So, Damien, you're going to the Tim Tszyu fight? I'm hoping to, Damien. Yep, I'm hoping to. It looks like it's in Sydney. So, yep, I'll be definitely trying to get there if I can. Pound for pound, you're talking about Sean Zittel. He's quite a famous journalist. He's best mates with Sean Porter, co-host Porter Way podcast. Now I know the one you're talking about. Yep, I have seen a few episodes of the Porter podcast or Porter Way podcast. So, yep, I know who you're talking about now. All right. Besides fighters getting mucked over, we'll say, with the Ali Act in place, I really want to see the changes Zuffa brings to the space. Well, there's lots of people for and against it, so I suppose we'll see how it goes in due time. You talking to me? Or to SSSM? You're wrong. They want promoters to be sanctioning bodies as well. 6-year contracts for fighters. This category is based around Zuffa. I will agree with you on that, Glenn. It's all around just so Zuffa can have their way with the way they want to run things. I'll let you guys discuss that in the chat there. Paul Panner, how are you, Paul? If Jai had no limit as his promoter, he would be in a way better position. Look at all the opportunities Tim has been given. Bad move going with Zuffa. Yeah, look. You're right. One thing about No Limit, well, I mean, we lay the boots into them at some stages, don't we, Paul? But end of the day, they've gotten Tim multiple world title shots. They've Liam Wilson's had a couple of world title shots. Sam Goodman's had a world title shot. They get the fighters world title shots. Even as Saavedra has had an interim belt, I think it was. So they get the fighters world title shots and big fights here in Australia as well. So look, it's easy now to, I suppose, lay the boots into Tasman fighters and the decision that's been made. But who knows? Maybe in another year or two we'll be saying what a good move it was. I don't know. But, we're just guessing at this stage. I'm not going to sort of hypothesize what it might have been like with No Limit. But, again, the record speaks for itself, doesn't it? So, and you're right. Yep, Tasman don't get along with No Limit. But Tasman's more of a manager these days there, and I suppose if it comes down to business, well, why wouldn't you work with No Limit? So, yeah, you're right there, Glenn. It's not Jai's promoter; it's his manager that's the issue. Yeah. Pound for pound, Holly Holm was robbed. I'm with you there, mate. Yep, Aussie women are thriving in boxing at the moment, and Aussie boxing as a whole is just killing it at the moment. I'll let Glenn and Triple SM go at it in the chat about the Ali Act. We've got a couple of... Oh, there you go. Sorry, yep. Shay Canelli was the one who got stopped recently. She was the one you would think... Yep, that's her, Big J. I couldn't remember who it was that got stopped. Yep, Shay Canelli, who was another one doing very, very well, was a world champion. So, as I said earlier, there's at least a dozen girls that are absolutely killing it out there at the moment. And we'd have to be one of the more sort of dominant countries in the world, wouldn't we? I mean, England would probably have to be number one along with the States. But geez, I reckon we'd have to be number 3, wouldn't we, as far as the amount of fighters we've got at the top of the ratings and world champions and everything. What do you got there, Daniel? It would be great if you reached out to the Rose brothers and see if they could come on the show. It would be awesome to pose some of those questions to them. Love the show, mate. Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, well, maybe. Again, mate, it's never really been my thing to do podcasts with people to interview, but maybe I might do it. Yep, maybe. Okay, yeah, just keep it clean there at Triple M. No name calling. Let's just keep it clean. It's Bill and Smith's home stadium. This is the Zuffa card, number 7. Richard, if you want a good interview with Dana, then you just agree with anything he says. Yeah, it's a good call there, Richard. Just give him the microphone and just say, let me know when you're finished, and I'll wrap it up. That's the good interview with Dana, I think. All right, well, I think we're going to call it a night because Triple SM and Glenn are having a bit of a howdy going in the chat there. Hang on, we've got a couple more. Mick Francis most likely had to get Jai a TV platform to fight on, so went with Zuffa. The best platform he had in Australia was Stan. No one watched the Stan. Yeah, that's a good call. We had DAZN there for a while, though, didn't he? And that didn't work out, did it? So Chock should have knocked G-Banger out. The G-Banger. Hang on. We got one more comment there. Is Alpha Promotions a new promotional company here in Australia? I don't know. They've got a show on in August, I think. Yeah, 26th. I saw a poster on Insta of the Kuso boys fighting on ESPN August the 26th. Yes, that is. Now that come up just before. It was one of the. So got both the Kusos. You've got Benjamin Hussein against Jack Brubaker. You've got Kyron Dryden. Yeah, they're the main fights on the card. So that is the Alpha Promotions. I don't know. It says here Hus Al Akrafi, I think it is the promoter and matchmaker. So I'm not sure who that is, but it's on ESPN here in Australia and New Zealand as well. So there you go. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. I think we've had, yeah, Canelo still sucks. I think we've had enough discussion tonight. I'll let you guys go about it in the chat. But guys, as always, make sure you check out Walking Boxing every morning. It's usually up by about 11 o'clock. So check that out. And yeah, plenty more to cover in the world of boxing over the next few weeks and big cards coming up. So until then, have a great week and see you next Monday night on Talking Boxing. Catch you then.